All right, testing, testing. Let's see if that goes through. We'll see if these go through as well, and they should. I don't actually know. Where is it? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It might be doing the same thing as before. Showing is offline. Uh-huh. Uh-oh. I think that might be why. Oh, still offline. And it's been a minute. Stops on. Okay. Testing now. See if this is going. This is going. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I know one of them is going through. That's for sure. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. Yeah, no, that one is live, but not all of it. Ta-da! Okay. Oh, is it working? Is it working? Oh my god. Tell me it's working. Ah, it is working. Alright, there we go. Hello, hello, everybody. I forgot the music. There we go. And we're gonna shuffle that. I don't know why I'm getting notifications right now, but yeah. So today we're going to be lubing some Cherry MX Browns that we installed yesterday. And the reason for that is because, of course, before, everyone was complaining about the Cherry MX Browns being not tactile enough. So I decided to go back and try them. Now they're on the board, and we found out that if you are a very light typist, that yes, they're not that bad. You can actually feel the tactile bump. But once you start going faster and striking the keys harder, the less you feel it. And they actually sound relatively generic. So we'll be doing a couple typing tests to start with, and once we do the typing test, we should be able to get into, what is it called? Do a little bit more, I guess. Or have a reality check on how they sound. I'm going to be using the NK65 for that. Alright. Be able to test. Why does it feel like the camera's a little tilted? Okay, and where is monkey time? There you go. Alright, so we'll try that real quick first. And we will see if we can get our 75 words per minute, as usual. Alright, 30 seconds on the clock, regular English. And this is how my mouse sounds. And this is, again, this is the NK65 on a slightly modded NK65 silicone bottom insert, but the silicone insert in between the plate and the PCB has been removed, with Cherry MX Browns unlubed and the GMK Olive. Not GMK Olive, sorry. The Glorious Olive colorway? That's what you want to call it. Yeah, colorway. I'll call it colorway. Alright, let's take a look here and start typing. Oh, I made a mistake there. Alright. 82 words per minute, so that's actually not that bad in comparison, but to before, because I've been doing it so many times where I'm not even getting there. And you can see I dropped so hard in the beginning, so yeah, I go raw 40. Going up to 56, and peaked at 124 words per minute, so that's fun. But yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. That is effectively what this is. Yeah, had a bit of trouble starting stream for a little bit there, but hopefully it's fine now. All right, and hopefully you guys can hear. I'm seeing lines on aux. Spotify is 0 right now just because we're turning it off, and stream should be good. All right, now we're gonna go to quote. We'll talk about the quote for a little bit instead of going through. Oh, Off-White, the tasteful. What? What is this? Now this looks like a keyboard thing. This is like something someone else would say for no reason, just because it's there. I don't see why not, but you know, we'll see how it goes. All right, let's turn down the music. We'll try out this quote, see if we can get 75 words per minute. This is what we're trying to do. And Jesus, that was so bad. Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. Look at that. Look. Oh my God, this is so bad. Oh, coloring. Oh, I hit T instead of R. All right. Look at that subtle off-white coloring. The tasteful thickness of it. Oh my God, it even has a watermark. I don't know. Is this a letter? This sounds like a letter, but it doesn't sound right. It just doesn't. Out of context, this sounds absolutely horrible. Who does that? Look at the subtle off-white coloring, the tasteful thickness of it. Oh my God! It even has a watermark. Yeah, that's the thing. You get to apply that to keyboards. It's the subtle off-white coloring, you know, off-white, beige, ivory, and all those colors. You know, tasteful thickness. And looking at something like the NK65, that's one really thick boy right there. You can see really steep typing angle. If you were to look at this really flat, yeah, that's a thick boy, thick guy. Yeah, whoa, actually, if I was to make this as flat as possible, yeah, that's the angle you're looking for. All right. Yeah, because even the top is tapered outwards. Yeah, the top is tapered outwards. One of the things that I don't quite like about the NK65 Super User Edition is this green section here. Doesn't quite go all the way from the top and then continue down onto the sides. It is nice because it does look like it has a section in the bottom, which I find cool. And this is somewhat deceiving, where you have an entire rubber section in the bottom, but it's only actually 4 knobs. You could probably see, I don't know if you could see that. There, nope. Maybe the bottom? Oh, there you go. So, it's actually raised. The the 4 sections are raised. So each of the edges actually, oh, actually you can see it. There's a different, slight difference in coloration. So there are 4 corners. It's not just one big rubber foot. On the plus side, if it does wear down, or if you end up for some reason being able to wear down your entire foot, you'll just have a bigger surface area so that it never slips. But yes, this is the Cherry MX Browns. Yeah, Cherry MX Browns on the NK65, slightly modded because there's the silicone gasket in between the plate and the PCB has been removed, so it doesn't sound as solid as it normally would. And that's typical of a lot of gaming keyboards, which the Cherry MX Browns are mostly installed on. But yeah, we'll see if this is better lubed, because as far as I'm aware, I got these from gaming keyboards, and a lot of gaming keyboards don't come pre-lubed, and when they do, they're not that great. So we're going to be lubing it ourselves. Crytox 205 grade 0, the usual stuff, and we'll see where that goes. Alright. Okay. Alright, we'll just start going back into switches. Okay. Where is my puller? There you are. So, yep. Bag of everything as usual. Okay. Let's move this out of the way. Actually, we'll be using this in a bit. Ta-da! Yeah, bending those too far back. Oh, there we go. Alright. Yeah, and one of the ways to do this quickly, oddly enough, is to keep things all arranged. When I kind of learned this when working in the kitchen, where while you're doing a couple things, you want to make sure that the steps ahead you have access to, instead of trying to get things done faster. Because, for example, if you're trying to get things done faster instead of focusing on what you're doing and thinking ahead a little bit, what happens is you end up making a lot of mistakes. For example, if I went over here and tried to remove all these keycaps as fast as possible, and I can do this quite quickly. However, what will happen is there'll be a mess instead of being neatly arranged. A complete mess instead of being completely arranged. And what will happen is that I'm gonna start hunting for keys. So, for example, I find the Q, I know where the Q is, but if I find the I have to then count and see where I would normally land. So, yeah, just take your time. Think about your next steps, and you should be able to go through stuff like this quite quickly, instead of quite slowly. Chill vibes. Let's go through. Oh yeah, this is my favorite grip on how I would hold a, what's it called? One of the keyboard key cap pullers. I would hold it like this, and then kind of like chopsticks, put these in, and I would be able to put in and pull them out quite easily. I like that instead of going like this. So yeah, that's my favorite grip for the keycap puller. Just pull it that way. That way I can open it and then close it, and if I have to open it, I know I can just push a finger in and spread the legs of the keycap puller. Makes it quite easy in comparison. Yeah. But yeah. Leave that up there. I'm not doing so well, unfortunately, in the typing test, but that's par for the course. I was thinking that I wasn't doing so well just because I didn't feel that great a couple days ago. No, that's just normal. That's just normal for me to not hit 75 words per minute when I try to go through. But hey, some people are fast, some people are slow, and you know, that's what you gotta do. That's one of those things where typing speed, you kind of have to practice it in particular, and you have to practice it in a way that you would normally use them. For example, typing out quotes definitely is one of those things where you would use them most likely. However, there are people who practice typing on quotes much more than they do typing a random word. And in monkey type, they have random word that is relatively easy because they use English common words versus a lot of weird random words. Because there is the 25k English, and that is crazy. That part was crazy. I don't even know what words those are. Sometimes I would look at the word and go, oh, I know that word. However, I've never ever had a reason to use a word such as that. Yeah. And I'll be always like that. It's crazy. Yeah. We go through, and there you go. But yeah, Lubing Cherry MX Browns. I remember back in the day, it's one of those things where people really lube their switches because there weren't many obvious choices. Everyone went, oh, Cherry MX Silvers. I think I might just go with Cherry MX Silvers at one point. I might do a what is called a switch comparison, especially with a lot of the new switches. The speed switches. Because there are more switches than just Cherry MX Silvers, but because everyone goes, oh my god, Silvers are the fastest switches. And honestly, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the not so... how do you call it? Not so fast switches and the speed switches. The regular switches. There you go. Yeah. The regular switches versus speed switches. Speed switches... sure, they technically actuate faster, but the difference that 1 millimeter makes is not entirely noticeable. And the only reason you ever notice is 1, placebo, or 2, you're really that fast. And if you're truly that fast, you're at professional level at that point. Like, every point matters kind of point. Not one of those points where like, oh, I'd like to just have a slight edge against my... No, you have to have a slight edge against your opponent. That's the difference. You want versus you need. It's a difference between making 10k a year versus 50k a year kind of thing. So that is the difference. All right. I don't know if anyone actually has a recommendation for better keycap pullers. I know there are a lot of people with keycap pullers that are much better than this. I just don't know if they're actually worth the investment in money to actually buy anything, because this works technically fine and I'll probably continue using them for the foreseeable future, but I would like some new ones that are much better. So hopefully there are some recommendations at one point. I wouldn't know. Yeah. Okay, one thing I don't entirely... that's also why this is... I get it. It's really, really thick because it has to have some structural rigidity to it. And there is, for example, a fuller section here. I don't know. Yeah, there you go. So that's what you call a fuller. So it's an indent. It pushes it in because of the way it's structured. When you try to push it in, it kind of squeezes the metal more than it actually tries to bend the metal. Therefore, it doesn't actually bend in. But I'm having issues with fitting it on the top section here. As you can see, just fitting it in between is quite hard. So if there was some sort of angle in this bottom section here, it might make it better. That way it's just a little bit thinner, but I'm having to force it on that weirdly exact plane. Every other switch will be fine with this, but the top row and potentially the bottom row, yeah, the bottom row too, might have an issue with it. Oh, what I'm saying. No, this way? This way. Yeah, I like this grip apparently. Pencil grip. So yeah, I pencil grip, or try to pencil grip my switches, switch puller. Basically, you're trying to pinch it here, but you have support. I have support from my second finger, so it's more there to support, make sure this doesn't slip, more than actually push down. So it does help, but not by much in terms of force, but it does help in terms of just kind of pushing things through. I could maybe do it this way. Grip in the bottom, so this is make sure it doesn't fall down, and then push that through. So actually, I think that's a little easier. I might just do this grip going forward, but at the same time, it is one of those grips where my thumb is starting to hurt a lot more than other ones. So we'll see. Let's keep going. And maybe we'll find something that actually makes sense. So you can see I'm just throwing the switches out there. And I noticed yesterday, because after the stream, that I have some that have red dots, which comes from one keyboard. Because what I did was I not noted which ones I had to remove, and no dots. And looking at them, they both look like they're different technical switches. So I might separate the red ones from the not red ones. That way I can tell which ones are lubed and not lubed. And then just pull some of the old ones from some other, what's it called? From my pile of switches over there. So I might just separate them a little bit. That way it's easier for me to kind of pull. Get a more one-to-one comparison. But I don't think it's going to be any different. Because I'm just looking at these. You can already tell there's a difference in color. It has nothing to do with that red dot either. So, yeah. I swap it over. Remove the red dot. That way there's no real reference point. You can see one's lighter versus the other quite easily. At least I can see it in the naked eye. Let me try doing this. No, it's a little easier to see. Yeah, see, this is lighter. The right side is lighter, guaranteed. Yeah. So I'm trying to separate those ones from the ones that aren't. But it does look like some of the other ones are. Yeah, I can't tell. Some of them are lighter, some of them are darker. That's for sure. And I don't believe it matters, but we'll try to be consistent as much as possible here. Okay. But yeah, I was talking about speed, efficiency, and stuff. While I was talking there, I probably could have just been pulling switches as well. So whether you're cooking and whatnot, if you're waiting for something to boil, don't wait for it to boil. Go wash some dishes. It'll save you a little bit more time in the long run, and you don't feel like you're gonna have to do a ton of dishes as you clean up, just as you finish your meal. That way you don't feel lazy about it, and it actually gets done. That's a little bit of the difference there. But yeah, after last stream, I ended up actually looking at a bunch of keyboard streamers, and yeah, they're doing mostly the same stuff, and a lot of it is just talking, vibes, see where it goes, and stuff like that. And I don't hate it, but weirdly, once it comes to the actual keyboard stuff, I really find it oddly a little bit more boring than I thought it would. I don't know why. It just is. Why did that feel wrong? There you go. Boop. There you go. So yeah, those would be it. Those are clear off now. And now we can go back into that. Let's put this on this side. Get some coffee, or my remainder of my mocha. That's a homemade mocha. I use regular store coffee. And that is a pain to kind of tune. Because it's, how do I say, it's a pain to tune simply because, oh, what the heck? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Where's the switch opener? Uh-oh. Oh no. That's the switch. That's the, where's the opener? No way. Did I lose it? I'm pretty sure I put it back. Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh no. I'm 100% sure I put it back because we were using it just yesterday. Oh, there you are. Oh my god. Luckily, it's in my little cubby hole. Alright, so we'll be opening up these switches. Let me pull out my little lubing mat, or workstation mat. And the reason I do this little workstation mat is simply because, one, I don't really want to get my actual desk mat dirty. And if there are scratches, scars, and whatnot, it is on a silicone mat. And that would be fine. I lost it again. There you go. Keep things organized, and you should be fine. But, you know, knowing me, I don't keep things organized. Therefore, it really sucks. Yeah, push that down. Come on. There we go. Alright, let's take a look. Yeah, they are not lubed at all. We're gonna do that. Put that there, put that there. And we're gonna try to see if the other one is any different. Where did my bag go? So this is the bag of spring lube. Now we can actually push this through. Ta-da! Alright, so we're gonna keep things as we normally organize them. I'm gonna try to take this out and see. Alright, we're gonna open the one that looks a little suspiciously different. See if this is any different. No, this is not different either. It's not lubed either. It is not lubed. Yeah. So neither of them are lubed. And they don't seem to be any different. But they do seem to be a different batch. So they're just a different batch. I don't think it should affect the sound test or anything like that. But one is definitely slightly shinier than the other. Yeah. Yeah, but they are smooth. I'm not feeling any oil on my fingers either. The spring... Same spring. Okay, so it should be the same all around. Including the tops. The tops, you can't really tell either. I'm not able to differentiate the two at all, period. Yeah, they are just regular cherry ones. Yeah, I can't tell, period. But this seems to hold up better than the Helios I was doing a couple of weeks ago. Okay. Alright, let's take this out. There. Okay, and we'll continue opening up the rest of the switches. There we go. Alright. Let the opening commence! And this is one of those things that, yeah, takes a lot of time to do. And, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the reason I started streaming it. It's straight out, oh, why not just keep going and going and going just to figure out what you're trying to do and whatnot. Alright. There we go. I really like this. This is kind of nice. Where the heck? How the heck? Oh, there you go. Yeah. I wish there was like a way to keep this bag somewhat open in this very specific orientation, but it doesn't seem like to want to do that. So, oh well, we shall find out. But yeah, no. I'll find it really odd. Oh yeah, I was talking about chiclet keys yesterday and how I would be able to, or how I was trying to imitate them. But effectively, with the old chiclet keys, it was mostly because I came from a laptop. And the way you would actually imitate them is by going with either speed switches or highly tactile switches with a relatively high actuation point, or point where it registers a key press. Correct. And then you would put really thick O-rings underneath your keycaps. Therefore, you would actually get similar to a the feel of chiclet keys off of a laptop, because there's a little bit of that bottom out, especially when you hit with laptops, making it quite similar. Not exactly the same, because at the time I only had browns, so that was the best I can come up with. But now that we have speed switches would be a little bit better. A little bit better. Not that much better, but it's a little bit better. Oh my god. But yeah, I'm thinking of I don't know. I was thinking of looking at the Vior keycaps because I really like the red with little shiny speckles and whatnot. Because I'm thinking, and ever since the Vior came out, or I've seen it, I've been thinking of ways to make what people call our impossible colors. For example, red green. Red green is not a color that exists in real life. There are green sections with red streaks through them or red accenting. Or even orange. However, there isn't a real color that is red-green. Those are what they call impossible colors because they are not within they're on complete opposite ends of the spectrum. But you can trick your brain into seeing red-green by simply looking at something really green and then closing your eyes, looking at something really red. And part of it is because you actually tire out those receptors in your eye, and your brain just kind of assumes that those colors are still there. Therefore, you actually see them meld together. But what I'm thinking personally is I don't know which one would be better. If it would be the green see-through with red underneath, or red see-through with green underneath. I'm thinking green over with red under because that is more akin to nature. Where you would see trees that are actually covered in moss, but you can see through the cracks there's some red wood underneath. So that seems cool to me, and I think that would be a dope keycap set. You would have white speckles, that way you can see a little bit of shine through it, and a really bright, horribly bright red underneath, and then over it is a terribly dark green see-through or translucent layer. That would make an absolutely cool or awesome keycap set, and I'd buy that straight up. And if it's even possible, white legends. And the reason for the white legends, which I don't think is possible because you're gonna put like you're gonna be putting the white the bright red bright red section underneath. It'll be terribly hard. Like, I don't know how you would put 3 different dyes unless you're 3D printing these things. I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think we're that far off in 3D printing to create keycaps like that, but hopefully in the future that is technology that exists. You can have multiple versions, or maybe you can use 3D printing tech in between to create the same effect. The other thing I can think of is dye sub after the fact. But I don't know how you would dye sub, what's it called? Translucent layers of plastic over the regular stuff. That's the difference. Okay. Yeah. Not aware what would happen there. Is the keycap. I think, because I like my color scheme. Some of my favorite colors. It's changed over the years. It has changed. Before, my favorite colors were red, white, and black. Now, my favorite colors are white, as you can see from my background, red, and a forest dark green. Like one of those you're in a dark, creepy forest type of green. This doesn't count. This is not dark enough for me. Yeah. Like speckles of brightness in a dark green. That's what I'm looking for. Like, you can easily spot it. Kind of type of green. I have a jacket that is close to what I want, but not quite what I want either. Yeah. But it is a dark green. It is darker than this. And that's the difference. If you asked me before, it'd be straight out red, black, and white. And now it's just like, nah, red, black, and white seems, to me. It's fine, it's relatively monochrome, but a dark red, not a bright red. I just think, when I mentioned the bright red previously, that if you were making that specific combination of a dark plastic, the dark plastic definitely, you have to compensate with a really bright red underneath for it to actually be able to shine through, and that's the difference. getting that shine through effect is much harder. Oh, there you go. Well, this is how you lose a bunch of things out of nowhere. It just flies all over the place. Okay. But yeah, that's the difference. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. Just lubing and whatnot. Yeah, even just this just a while ago I had issue with the streams actually starting. But basically YouTube was up, but Twitch and Kick were not. And I think a couple of people are having issues with Twitch, and it isn't just the Korean streamers. Because apparently the Korean streamers are now no longer able to stream from Korea, which is kind of sad. But I get it, their operating costs are getting higher according to them. I don't know what their books are showing, but if it's not feasible, it's not feasible. It's just one of those weird things, and I wish some of the books were shown. But companies will never ever do that, because the moment books are shown, people will try to game the system a little bit and maybe blame them for it, be like, oh, you actually have enough money to do it. But technically having money to do it versus having the extra expenditure to keep sinking money into what is a sinking ship, it's kind of like saying, can you help with a bucket brigade for a ship that is sinking faster than we can throw the water out? Basically, there is no way to buy a pump to pump out some of the water off of the ship and back into the sea or the ocean. So unfortunately, it's gonna be stuck in that very specific reasoning. Where do we give up now and just have everyone board the lifeboats, or do we keep pumping in order to grab time for people to get on the lifeboats? So it becomes a priority of where are you going to put those resources. Do you want to just help things go smoothly for the lifeboats, or do you want to delay the ship from sinking to be able to save more lives, kind of thing? I'm tying it to the Titanic, but you know, it's in the end of the day, there are other streaming platforms that are on the continent, but it is one of those things where Twitch is one of the places where people know to go if they want live form content, versus something like a YouTube or even Kick, which is relatively new. So if everyone goes say, oh, it's a streamer, and then they just assume, a lot of people just assume it's on Twitch without knowing where they're actually streaming. For example, I used to think one of the media companies that exist, HoloLive, I thought they were streaming on Twitch. They're not streaming on Twitch. They were streaming on YouTube, and I was like, what? How? How does that? That's weird. And it isn't weird, because you can do it on both. You can do it on all of them. And that's the difference. Until you actually start using a platform for that specific reason, you wouldn't know at all, period. And that's the difference. Ooh. All right, neck crack, check. And let's go, keep going. Do a couple of these, move these forward. You guys hear that? That actually sounds kind of nice. It sounds like Legos. Yeah. Kind of crazy. Oh, yeah. It is what it is. Actually, I have an interesting thing that I kind of want to see. There you go. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. I want to see where it was going through. I don't know why, but scroll doesn't seem to work in certain areas of... Okay. Yeah, only 50% of my GPU being used for encode? Okay. It's not too bad. And how much percent 3D? We'll use 3 gigs of memory for it? Okay. Not what I expected off of stream with multiple sections to it. But then again, I am going through and trying to push, for example, 1080 on one platform and whatnot. The difference is the bitrate, honestly. And yeah, I'm just giving it the maximum I can on the other sites because I remember looking this up. But apparently on every other streaming platform, except for the video on demand platforms, every other streaming platform goes to a maximum bitrate of 6,000 to 8,000 kilobytes per second. So that's 6 to 8 megabytes. Meanwhile, VOD platforms can go up to 15 quite easily, especially if you especially if you are on the 1440p or the 1440p or 4K resolutions. However, you do lose stuff like latency, low latency modes. And if you have a lot of chat, then low latency modes is much better. But if you don't have a lot of chat, I think even going with low latency mode is still a better idea, just because once someone actually rolls in, you can just keep talking to them or instantly start talking to them, versus the other way around, where if you have a slight delay, sure, when there's a lot of people, it doesn't entirely matter, because even just having a slight delay, you know, someone sees something in chat, it takes a little bit of time for it to register, and then you start actually going for it. And by then, once it registers with them, you're talking about it. Because I don't think the latency is that high, especially with something like Twitch or YouTube. Even if you enable low latency mode on something like YouTube, I think there is about 5 to 10 second delay in comparison. And Twitch, on the other hand, it's almost instantaneous. It's kind of weird. I don't understand how that works and how they're able to do that. But even watching myself on my own stream just to monitor where I'm at, I don't know. There is lag. I talk about something and it's almost as if I'm recording locally or something. It's kind of weird. Then again, the server that I'm connected to obviously is the Seattle server, which is the closest to Vancouver. I don't think there is a Vancouver server for stuff. Oh, hey there, Hartzell. How's things? Doing a Switch Lubing stream because, you know, keyboard content, of course. Doing a bunch of work. But yeah. Oh, and it turns out there are even more expensive, more expensive keyboards, not keyboards, desks than what's it called? Oh, I'm blanking now. One person walks into chat and all of a sudden I forget all the words in my dictionary. But yes, apparently I watched the latest, Short Circuit, where they were unboxing this awfully expensive table. I do like their tabletop, but their max version of the table was $1,800 US. I'm sitting here, goddamn. And a friend actually bought for 1,500 Canadian dollars a similar desk, except it's made out of metal. Yeah. Words, yes indeed, Cray. Words, and more words, as a friend of mine would say. Yeah. Good. Setting up and updating everything on your laptop so it's up to date. I am doing relatively fine. Their heart's low. But obviously could be better. I could have these switches already lubed by now. But no, I don't. I don't have that. That's not how that works. But yes. Mostly enjoying things. I just realized, you know what, one of the other things I could do, I could probably just be streaming. I could be pulling an OG Mr. Beast move where I could be streaming and I'd be watching some content. Because that's what he did. He did these crazy things where he was just staring at watching, I think it was Naruto at the time, and counting to an obscene number. And people were like, oh no, there's no way he actually pulled this off. There's no way he's actually gonna do it. And he did it while doing it. Did I not game stream yesterday? No, I did not game stream yesterday. I was trying to figure out settings on how to make sure that worked, and it wouldn't work, so I did not. Yeah. But I did figure out today. I actually had to, for those who are multi-streaming, right? What you would actually have to do, at least with my specs, I don't know if this will work with everyone else's PCs and whatnot. I just figure out what works for me. But because the main encoder is being used for the main thing, and I'm pushing out different specs out to all the other platforms, because what happens is, especially when high FPS, when I'm going through high FPS stuff for games, the bitrate is not high enough on Twitch, so I'd have to lower the resolution but increase the bitrate per the resolution. So for example, on Twitch it should be 1080p right now, but a higher bitrate. So all of the things that you see are gonna be much clearer in comparison to, let's say, 1440p but at the same bitrate. So I'm maxing out the bitrate right now, which is bouncing in between 6 and 7.5 megabits per second, or 6,000, which is theoretically what Twitch and other streaming platforms would limit it to. However, on VOD platforms like YouTube, they actually don't have that limit unless you are on 1080p. So if I stream 1440p, I can go all the way up to 15 megabytes per second on a stream. Twitch, on the other hand, doesn't. It caps it at 8,000 megabits per second, even if you go all the way up to 4K. So the resolution kind of doesn't scale properly going from one platform to the other. So I was trying to figure out exactly how I would work those out. Yeah. And this seems to be working right now. I don't know if you guys see any different in stream, even in movement. There might be some weird rendering issues, but we'll find out once we play games later tonight. And also tomorrow is gonna be the Mario Kart No Mushroom versus the Nintendo Staff Ghost stream. This is gonna be crazy. I say it's gonna be crazy, but I don't think so. I think we'll go through it just fine, because I was able to beat the Staff Ghost in about like 20 to 40 minutes quite easily with No Mushroom. And that's after going through the track a couple times. I think I went through the track 3 times by myself, trying to beat my own score without actually knowing what the ghost was able to do. And we got within 10 seconds of the time quite easily. So I'm not too worried. It's just the rest of the tracks are quite different in comparison to the old Mario Kart tracks, where the third lap actually doesn't just change what's happening on the track, because normally in Mario Kart tracks, the third lap, there's weird changes to the map. In this case, with the deluxe version, not just the deluxe version in specific, the new stages or new tracks, they are completely different. At one point, it reverses you and sends you back the way you came, which is kind of, it's different. So your last lap will be a completely different lap. In other words, you practice the first lap twice, while you would practice the third lap once during one run. So you have less practice overall for that specific lap. Therefore, tightening up the last lap is the hardest part of doing a No Mushroom run with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Okay, ta-da! Oh wait, no, there's one more. How long did it take for that? 40 minutes just to do this. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's not a good time. I can make guacamole faster than I do this. I'm not even done with the lubing part. Well, I guess that's why the streams are relatively entertaining for about maybe 2-3 hours. While we do some tests, talk about some coats, you know? I mean, that's part of, oh, don't drop. Come on, there you go. My little set there. Gonna grab this. We're gonna take all that. And we're gonna push this into this bag full of springs. Therefore, when we massage it in, it should, in theory, coat as many of them as possible. All the times they recommend just you're here for the tests. Yes, you're here to mock me every time I get anything lower than 75. I understand, Korea. Okay, I understand. God damn it. No, not everyone can be as talented as you in typing, alright? I wish I was, given that I actually like doing this stuff, but well, that is not the case, sadly. So many things going through. Alright. So, now we're going to be lubing all these switches. And yes, as I suspected, a lot of the gaming switches, especially back in the day, were not lubed. Period. The only ones that probably had them lubed were Ducky, because they sound and feel a little different than normal. Alright. So, Cherry MX Browns are tactile enough to actually notice the bump. And as you would see here. Uh-oh. Too close. There you go. There is a slight bump. Like, you can't quite see it. It's very hard to see. But there is a slight bump. So, what we're not going to be doing is we won't be lubing that section in particular, the legs of the stem. So, we're going to be lubing the sides. So, the sides would be just that section, the back, and then the face of the front. So, this section right there. But we're not going to touch the legs, because if it doesn't feel like it's tactile enough to begin with, I really don't think that lubing the legs will do it any favors. So we're going to keep the legs separate. I won't mock you for real this time. Oh, sure, buddy. Sure. No guarantees on that. Alright. Let's take some of this. I'm gonna put it on a small plate. And we'll turn this upside down because we don't really need it to be there constantly. I'm gonna separate these two. Ta-da! Alright. Oh, alright. We don't need too much, but basically we are going to be lubing this very specific, oh my god. There you go. That very specific section, this top section, because this actually brushes the top of the switch. So we're gonna lube that section, and then we're gonna lube the slides. But effectively, that should be it, and should be good. With these sides here, careful not to touch the legs, the bottom there. But that's pretty much it. Just go through, and as you can see, or I will attempt to show you, there's lube on the side but not the legs. So all the other contacting surfaces except for the legs. The hard part about this is if I put them in a pile, they might touch each other and the legs might touch some lube. That makes it a little harder. I'm gonna add a little more space for them to make it a little easier. And that's why a switch station or switch lubing station can matter. But given how tactile a lot of the newer switches are, it's not that much of a bother. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Alright. Relatively chill tracks, just going through. I kind of want to play some of the copyrighted music. However, YouTube, as for the VODs, can be quite a mess to deal with. So I'm gonna avoid them. But sometimes I really wish I could just use those, because I have so many tracks that I want to listen to that aren't this. I like the vibes of this just because it is meant for background noise for streaming. I say noise, but background music for streaming. making it a little easier on the ears instead of hearing a bunch of noise in the background. Because I'm pretty sure you could hear a bunch of noise in the background if it was completely silent. You could hear the fan running in the background and whatnot, and you can hear a bunch of other stuff. But if you have music that is louder than any of the noise that is surrounding you, then you will actually not be able to hear it. Why? Because you're kind of getting used to what is it called? The level of noise. And if it's too low, you won't be able to hear it. There is probably a name for that in specific, but I do not know what that is. There you go. Hopefully I have enough space to keep a bunch of them separate as possible. Yeah. But yes. Hopefully looping this drops the octave by a little bit, though it doesn't sound really bad. But it definitely sounds scratchy in comparison to a lot of the other switches, even when they're unlubed. Which I think comes with which is part of the problem with these types of regular Cherry MX switches that is widely known and available. So that's the difference there. Uh-oh, did I touch it? Hopefully not. Okay. Yeah, so hopefully I didn't touch that one there, but it's gonna be hard to lube properly if you're not taking your time, and you have to redo a bunch of switches anyways, so it doesn't matter at that point. And you just slow down, calm down, do your thing, make sure you're doing it properly instead of just fast. I say that more for myself than anyone else, to be honest, because I've been doing that quite recently, fortunately, and I would like that to stop. And if I can just confirm to myself that yes, it definitely works, then maybe, just maybe, I'll believe myself. Yeah. Oh, I also hope my cap never gets in the way. I know it does get in the way when I start leaning over, but when I'm just doing it over here, it's not that bad. Oh, there you go. Switch Lubing streams. Such fun. Not talking a lot about quotes. Oddly enough, I spent 3 hours yesterday just kind of going through things, and it's kind of bad. A lot more quote saying back then. But hopefully this is fine in terms of stream. Alright, where was I? Where was I? Yep, that section there has not been lubed. You might be wondering why I'm not lubing this section here, because we're going to be lubing the inside on the bottom housing, and we don't have to lube the top housing. So as long as we lube this section properly, should be fine. But yes, this is the OG switches that I used previously in my gaming keyboards, and now we're just testing them to make sure, you know, they don't actually sound that bad, and I think the lubing will help a lot. And as long as I don't lube the legs, it should retain a lot of its tactility. Not that it had a lot to begin with. Should retain a lot of its tactility and gain a lot of smoothness, remove some of the scratchiness, lower the octave a little bit so it'll sound a little cleaner, because this really sounds scratchy in comparison to a lot of other switches that are in the market at the moment. Alright, have a nice one there, Heartsoul. So many things going on. Yeah, so many people doing a lot of stuff today. Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. Recently, a friend of mine actually sold a case of Pokemon cards because it was a collector's edition Pikachu box, I believe. I don't know. And damn. He sold that for a couple K, and he bought it, I believe, at retail price, which is under 100. So that is a 50x times money right there. It was great. It was glorious. I would highly recommend. It's such a good feeling to even know that exists and that can happen. Like, damn. Imagine 50xing your money. Mind you, he had to wait 10 years, but still. 10 years for a 50 times? Huh. Would that even be equivalent of doubling per 10? So no, because it was 2, 4, 8. Yeah, no, it's not quite doubling it every year, because doubling it every year isn't the same, because it would be, if 10 years, so it's 2, 4, 8, 16, 26, 32. Yeah, that would be 32 times. Jesus Christ. 32 times, 32 times 2, 64. Like, jeez. If you only knew how much our cards and other merch we owned as kids would cost. Yes. Honestly, even comic books, you know? Like, if you knew how much a certain copy of a comic book would be worth because it was low run print at the time, yeah, that would have been a thing. That would have been crazy. Hundreds of dollars just because of that. It is ridiculous because no one has the time to think about what are the future implications of selling this right now. It's a piece of paper. Who cares? Apparently a lot of people do. That's why. All that merch sitting in shelves somewhere, you don't know. You might come back one day going, oh my god, I know this costs $100 at least. You just kind of freak out. Oh god. But yeah, now even Pokemon cards, who knew? Then again, it was already expensive. For example, the whole Logan Paul thing with the rarest Pokemon card. It's definitely one of those few things. You go, damn, it's a lot of money. But at the same time, it makes sense why it was so hard to find. I believe there was only a certain amount of copies in the world, and there are a lot of fakes out there. I mean, a lot of people can draw really, really well, and people can fake it really, really well. But I don't think it's documented exactly where each copy is for everything. Too bad you're never selling any of your BTS merch, even if you'd need the money in the future. Hey, honestly, that depends. Are you able to recoup that in the future is the real question. Because if you can sell it right now to guarantee that you can buy it even at a 10x price in the future, why not? And there are also people, like one of my friends, who just buys triples or doubles of everything. That way they have one to open, one to sell, and then the other one to keep. And then open in a few later date or sell at a later date because they already have their collection elsewhere. So it makes it a no-brainer for them because they would have spent the money anyways. The difference is whether they open it now or later. Yeah. That's the difference. Oh yeah. I mean, I do that myself too on certain things. Why not? I don't have doubles or triples. Yeah. Yeah, I know. That's the thing. At the time, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. So that it's just luck of the draw. When something drops that you know is relatively limited, and you can afford doubles and triples of it, just go for it. Especially things that may or may not be hard to find in the future, just go for it at that point, you know? Because sometimes it might be worth it in the future to sell because you already have your own copy. The only reason you want to keep your other copy is to have a brand new inbox sealed kind of thing. And honestly, a lot of these things are kind of meant to be played. And I don't see why you would just hold it in a collecting cell somewhere unless it is specifically for collection. If there's no display for it, if it's just there being stored in a closet somewhere, not being displayed, why even bother? That is absolutely horrible. I don't know why you would do that, you know? That makes no sense to me. No sense at all. Don't do that. Don't be that type of collector that puts it in a private collection, quote unquote, and it's just your storage space underneath the frickin' rafters. No, don't be that person. Why? If you were gonna be able to display it, and every time someone comes over, they just see this massive wall of whatever you just collected, and they're like, whoa. Like, for example, I don't have to use all of the headphones I have currently. Like, it's not helping me in any shape and or fashion. It's kind of just there. But whenever I do need a headphone that I want to try out differently, I can just do that too. I think I only have maybe one headphone. I have multiple mice outside on display. As you can see, I have multiple of practically everything. Yeah. But yeah, I have multiple even of graphics cards. What I don't have multiple of is a goddamn working motherboard. Jesus Christ. Crazy out there. Oh, has anyone actually heard of what happened with CSGO? They found a vulnerability that can leak IP addresses and whatnot. So those who aren't using a VPN to kind of look like they're somewhere else, they're at risk, especially streamers like me, right? And regular Joes who just play it. And the hard part about that is if they can find your IP and they can relate that IP address to your specific to your specific address, they can kind of fake your identity. So the less they know about you, the better. Especially when it comes to hackers, the more information they can gather, the worse it becomes for you, because it makes it much easier to get a credit card in your name just because they have your address. So all they really have to do is fill out a bunch of forms like, oh yeah, what's your address to reset your password? And some places do that. I'm like, no, that's horrible. Why would you put your address as a reset kind of thing? Don't do that. Never ever do that. I would never ever suggest doing that. It is horrible. Why would you ever do that? What's some weird question that only you would know? It's not like your address isn't being used in everything, including shipping. Especially with reset questions. Like, oh, why? Why is it address? It's horrible. So never ever put your reset question as address of any sort. Period. Because that is searchable. Those are things that can get tied to you a little too intricately. Okay. I'm gonna do one more. And then we're gonna put back a couple of switches and test it a little. Put it on the board. Because we don't want to contaminate the rest of them by just piling them all together. Yeah. I was looking at the prices for jobs like this on the local mech markets, and man, these guys either don't get paid a lot or they're terribly efficient in their lubing. That way they can actually get some money out of this. But if someone's saying, let's say $15 for lubing, yeah, you better lube all of this quite fast. You can do it under an hour, then you technically win in the price per hour kind of thing. Category, yes, the price per hour category. It is relatively fine. Okay, lubing everything. Hopefully it's fine. I'll grab a couple. Grab one. Oh, right. I haven't lubed the bottoms yet. We'll lube some of the bottoms first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We'll make one more. We'll do a 20. We'll do a 20 before committing to another 20 of the bottoms. Come on. Go. Oh. There we go. Nice noob. Well, those actually are contact points. There we go. Don't need that for now. Yeah, what was I talking about? Yes, there's the vulnerability in CSGO. That is the game that has an issue right now, and I think one of the creators might be playing it, and I want to make sure to warn them. So if there are creators that are having issues with CSGO, on the plus side, if you have a VPN and people don't know, you might be able to get away with ranking up quite fast just because it is, how do you say it, relatively easy if people don't know this issue exists. Therefore, there's a high chance that people who don't know it exists are not of particularly high skill level and they don't keep up with the game as much. They kind of just hear it from friends when they play about it. Therefore, yeah, it's a double-edged sword if you want to try doing that. Okay. I feel like my voice isn't doing too hot currently, honestly. It feels like it's tearing apart. I feel like I have a lot of rumble or scratchiness to my voice as of current. Very much like Cherry MX Browns. Ooh! Damn. Gotta move through this. But yeah. Because I used to work security field. And yeah, no, those are things that you just don't want to do. There you go. Move this to the side because we're doing a bunch of. Let's re-up one. Definitely does not look much. Do the sides and do the center stem. Be good. Those are the main contact points on a keyboard switch. These few grams go pretty far. Then again, I'm also doing 65%. I think these are mostly measured for multiple batches of, what's it called? Full-size keyboards versus just a smattering of it in comparison. That's what it is. Oh yeah. I don't know. I would say that a lot of the times I would rather, how do you say it? I would rather not have a vulnerability. And I would stop people from playing the game if there was a vulnerability. I would just push an update that was like, nope, you're not able to play this if a vulnerability like that came out. A vulnerability came out like that. So if someone found that, just nope, not happening. We're closing up shop immediately. It's kind of like yes. Imagine going to a restaurant and finding out there are rats all over the place. You do not want to go there. So, first things first, you spotted a rat, you let the staff know, and they're like, oh, it's okay. It's fine. We'll get rid of it when we get rid of it. Like, no. Close the place down. Have pest control come out. And once you can guarantee the rats are not there, that's when you open back up the restaurant. That's how you're supposed to do it. And that's what they're supposed to do with CSGO as well. However, I don't think they've done that. And I don't think that they've patched the issue either. And Valve tends to be slow on this. So it might... yeah, it might be horrible for them in the next few days until they figure it out. But I would rather them not risk a lot of people's information like that. Especially when it's information that may pertain into being able to rob someone's identity or even just use their identity in malicious ways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 more sets. So, yeah, that is a thing that you definitely don't want it to happen. In other news, there is also that weird thing that happened with Intel and AMD. Intel seems to have created a slide deck that was kind of just bad-mouthing AMD for what seems like no reason on true but useless premises that are highly hypocritical, since Intel does the same thing themselves. But you know, that's how some people go. But the whole Twitch thing, kicking YouTube, going crazy. Hopefully the Korean streamers would actually be able to go do some things. But I think right now what will happen is Valorant would actually get a boom just because of the issue happening with CSGO. Straight up. In comparison. And I know there are a lot of CSGO purists out there, and I've met a few who are like, nah, CSGO is more skill-based than something like Valorant with all their weird skills. I'm like, no. There's more to deal with Valorant. So there is more technical skill or higher skill ceiling in something like Valorant when there is a lot of more things to deal with. Because on the other side, with Counter-Strike, it is way too simple in comparison. And there's no flashy or interesting looking plays in comparison. 3 more of these. Then I can move on to the next. So yeah, I think I would enjoy Valorant more over something like CSGO. But a lot of people still love CSGO. And I think there was an issue where they were saying about the baud rate or the resolve rate of what they're trying to do in CS, where it's 1/3, so that it would happen about 1/3 of a second. And there are a lot of mice that are faster than that in terms of report rate. So whoever's the server tick, it's called the server tick. But basically the server tick is 1/30. So whoever hits that line first during, let's say, 1/30, it doesn't quite feel as responsive. And honestly, I think a lot of it's placebo. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I think a lot of it is placebo regarding the tick rate. I don't think people would notice. I think if you pushed out an update that says the tick rate has been improved and say nothing else other than that, I think people will be like, oh my god, this is so much smoother. What did you guys do? You know? They did nothing. They just gave you placebo and it seemed to have worked. So I don't think it's an issue with the actual rate of the server tick. And everything to do with whether people think it's a good thing or not. Therefore, there's nothing that they can truly do other than optimize the game as much as possible at that point. There we go. Okay, that's a lot less scratchy. I like it. Alright. This in here. Yeah, that's a little cleaner. I don't hate that in comparison. Oh yeah. So much. That is so much better in comparison to before. If they lubed this properly, this might have been a really good switch on a technicality. Yeah, I think it's lubing issue that they're facing with the gaming keyboard. And if it was just lubed, I think enthusiasts wouldn't have much of a problem with it. It's just I think the pre-lubing has an issue where it would go over the legs. Is part of the problem. And if it goes over the legs, obviously it's not the best either. There we go. Yep. It should be good. I keep forgetting the springs. I even did this the last few streams that this happened. I keep going for the strings first versus the actual the stems before the springs. And I know I need to put the stem on the spring just to be able to even put this together properly. It's kind of annoying. But it is how it goes. Yeah, that is much better. Gosh darn. Oh, I can't wait to check this out once it's done, because I think this will be good. This might actually be better than we thought it is. Because I know previously it sounds like a generic mechanical gaming keyboard. Because effectively it would be if we didn't lube it. But now that it's lubed, this might actually sound decent. And hopefully it truly does. I'm hoping it does. Does lubing fix Cherry MX Browns? Probably not. There we go. They are the OG. Currently I kind of feel like I need to use the washroom, but I'll do that in a little bit to get worse. That way I'm not holding too much and I can just go through, dump in one go instead of having to go there multiple times. But yes, I remember someone asking me previously, where do you want to be remembered before you die? And I go, no, I don't want to be remembered before I die. And the reason why is because I don't want to be remembered. I want to remember things and go, yeah, that's good enough, I suppose. It's literally it. I want to remember, not be remembered. Because if you live a life you'd like to remember, reminisce about, then that means you lived a good life. Versus the other way around, where people remember you. That means you've either done something absolutely horrible or absolutely, wonderful. And those are things that you can't live by. You can't replicate. Those are things that is out of your hands. What is in your hands is living a life that you expect to live out of your own volition. Not you expect. Living a life that you live that you want. The hard part is finding out what do you want. A lot of people struggle with finding exactly what they want, and even me, I don't know what I want in life. I don't know what type of job I'd like to have. I just know it has something to do with tech. What part of tech? Don't know. Is it this stuff? Streaming, talking about tech, talking about life in general? Who knows? It could be. I mean, I don't hate this, to be honest. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. It's one of those things where you gotta do it for long enough to know exactly whether that's the case. Are you doing this because you can do it? Or are you doing this because you actually genuinely like it? You don't know. And even for starting streamers out there, right? If you are going around, think to yourself, one day I'll get money out of this. And you're doing it for that specific reason. What reasons are you giving anyone to watch? For me, I'm giving philosophical stuff. I'm looping switches, something for anyone to just kind of hang out. And if they're just looking for someone to vibe with, I'm here. And I have to keep talking to do that. And normally I don't keep talking. Normally I just shut up, do this, listen to a podcast, do some other stuff while this is all happening, instead of the other way around. But here I am, a podcast. Not a podcast. What is it? It's not it's on a stream for no apparent reason. And people just like watching this stuff in general. And I know in this hobby, not a lot of people like typing things out and going, hey, I'm here, I'm doing a thing, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. Because it's a different vibe. It's just people sitting there, listening to music as time goes by, as people are talking in the background. It's the same reason some people love going to cafes. And they love the sound of busy work. They like the sound of people talking around them as some work is being done. Because they can hear things being done. And it motivates them to get things done themselves. Because it feels like they're not being part of the group when they're the only ones not doing any actual quote-unquote work. Even though technically everyone could just be enjoying their time. And the cafe place itself is relatively busy. That's literally it. So the cafe is the one that's busy, the cafe area is busy, but the people there are just enjoying their time. So it's that weird combination that people are enjoying their time having work is the kind of feel that kind of gives. But it's not quite the same either. So yeah, it's kind of odd, I would think, that people would join in just to kind of vibe and see where things are going. Not even, you know, make sure that things are going the way it's supposed to. Yeah, it's lubed. For a moment there, I thought that very specific stem wasn't lubed. It was. It was definitely lubed. Okay. There you go. And there is some looseness to the tops of the switches, so that can provide some rattle on it. Come on, open up. There you go. But yeah. It all comes down to perspective. Even looking at something like the Cherry MX Browns is why I'm doing this to begin with, is to see exactly where it kind of fell apart. And it seems like a lot of it has to do with the lubing of the switches to begin with. Because here, I wouldn't normally lube the top because the rail is on the bottom housing. The top doesn't have to be lubed at all, to be honest. But sometimes that might actually help, but I wouldn't really know. Guess we'll find out after a while. Alright, let's finish this section here. Go. Alright. But yeah, oh, one of the creators that I actually watch has won the Game Awards, the Creator of the Year, and it's oddly a person with a debilitating disability. Effectively, for the past 3 to 4 years, they haven't even been able to eat. They have been feeding off IV drip the entire time. because eating could potentially kill them, which is a ridiculous thing to think about. But imagine not being able to eat because it could potentially kill you. And this person hasn't eaten food in a while. The even sadder part was straight up, they were able to eat before. So they do have the experience of having tasted food before all of that went down. So it's kind of much harder to figure out. And it's crazy that people do that. And I actually saw Dr. Disrespect react to it, and it was hilarious. Because they didn't expect a VTuber to win at all. And they didn't recognize anyone on the list anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But who knows? That just could be it. It's just, you know, lack of recognition because they're not really into the other side of streaming. They're into streaming themselves, not the other side where they're constantly watching. They're more into the streaming, not the watching of the streams. And that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Now, I can see how you can easily get shocked because you don't know what's happened in the streaming world for so long at this point. You don't watch it anymore. You're just, all right, how can we do this the best of our ability instead of looking at what do the people watch, enjoy. That's literally it. Quite different. Okay. Don't want to be too much resources. There we go. Ah, neck. There you go. Separation. You've done 20. Almost done 20. Quickly. And should be able to do the rest of it in the next few. But yeah, now that it is mostly lube, it should be fine. I can still feel the tactility. So it should be fine. Right. I'm gonna use the washroom real quick right after doing this. I'll be back, but let's see. There we go. Ta-da! That's much nicer. It is definitely much nicer. Alright, I'm gonna go use the washroom real quick. I'll be right back. go. Alright, hopefully. Yeah, the music is not too loud, but I gotta lower that a bit. It's too high. Alright. Where is my headphones? I forgot where it went. There. Okay, there you go. Oh. Okay, there we go. Now let's, where was I? Yes, we're gonna loop the switches, stems first. Start with the stems and then move on to the bottom housing. Actually, let's do some bottom housing first. Let's do all of the bottom housing because they don't touch each other. So that makes more sense. See, this is what I was talking about. Like, when you're trying to do things quickly, you end up messing a couple things up. So if you think about it, you might actually be able to save yourself a little bit of time. So I might have been able to save myself quite a bit of time there just by doing the bottom housing first. Because we know we don't really do anything on the top housing, so that's done on a technicality. Just the bottom housing does need a little bit more working with. And because we don't want to be touching the stems on the MX Browns, the stem legs of the MX Brown, because it has a light tactility to it anyways, definitely doing the bottom housing is much faster just because you can do all of them in one go versus having to wait for stems to keep coming in. There. So yeah, let's see if you can do this quite quickly. Instead of having to... Oh, what am I doing? Chris. There we go. But yeah. Alright, water check for those who haven't drank any water in a while. Definitely want to do that. I mean, it's relatively late right now, but I'm drinking my coffee. I don't care. I might even actually get a snack after a bit. Alright. Yeah, I'm getting some lube in. I didn't know that most keyboard manufacturers, at least the gaming ones, did not lube their switches whatsoever. So that's probably the reason why a lot of them didn't take off in the enthusiast scene, except for the Cooler Master stuff. But now pre-lube switches are a thing. And it's definitely one of those things where the enthusiasts love it because it's a much cleaner sound and a smoother feel. It doesn't have that weird scratchiness anymore. So it should be fine. One of the things that might need are the railings on this side. But I don't think... I think the lube on the stems itself should be able to carry some of... what's it called? Some of the lubing that you might be missing on the sides, so I wouldn't worry about it so much, because I know a lot of people go, oh, do the railing as well, but if you're putting on the lube on the bottom housing and on the stem will carry the stuff that you are missing, while the bottom housing is to get as many surfaces as possible. So you should have a decent amount of lube and the least likelihood of actually being able to over lube your switches. So yeah, I just do it this way because it is much easier that way, at least for me. I don't know, there might be actually faster, more efficient ways to do this, but I haven't found them yet. And if someone has found them, just let me know in the comments or the chat. A lot of things you can do. A lot of things. I remember. Oh yeah, I was talking about the desk setup previously. So LTT's short circuit channel actually unveiled one of Corsair's new desks. There are a couple of things that I do like about it that, now that I think about it, seems like a good idea, where they put areas for you to be able to add on the clamps for a monitor arm, because even though the monitor arm itself does have less of a footprint on the desk than a actual monitor stand it by itself, or the monitor legs from the actual the actual monitor, but on stock, it still takes up space on the desk. What Corsair have done is elevate it off of the desk. That way you can put wires and other stuff on it without sacrificing a lot of that desk space. That way you're able to actually turn it into usable space. It is a sit-stand desk too, and can carry up to 300 pounds instead, which is not that bad. But even my desk goes up to 350 pounds, and it's a company that got bought out, unfortunately. So while I would definitely recommend something like the Corsair one, I don't like that the weight it's able to carry is good. But the idea, so if you are quite handy with tools and whatnot, you can emulate that same idea that Corsair had by just putting 2x4s together and ensuring, of course, you want to be safe, ensuring that it doesn't wobble on the table. And that's literally it. And it's the same concept. I think IKEA had the same concept where they put their Scadis pegboards and they found a way to clamp it onto the desk. That way you actually had space to put things behind your computer monitors, which is a very good idea. The hard part about it that I don't like is that because it's above your computer monitors, you'd have to reach quite over it. And it's a relatively deep looking desk. I don't know how deep it is, but if it is mostly for display, that's fine. Then again, it is a sit-stand desk, so it isn't the most horrible thing either. The one thing I would think about of this weird desk with the headboard is a way to mount other stuff. And apparently, Corsair or Elgato's stuff works well with it just because it has the nubs that would normally go, or proprietary systems that would normally go with the Corsair and Elgato stuff. Because I believe Corsair owns Elgato, if I'm not mistaken correctly. Because there's a lot of stuff that goes, a lot of software that they do. One of the other things I don't like about the new Corsair desk is it only has 2 functions of remembering. It has 2 memory options. Honestly, I wish it was more. I have 4 on my current desk and it works great. I use mostly 2. However, for example, if I'm standing and I'm standing on the balance board, it's a different height than I'm just standing normally. And then when I'm sitting, that's a different height. So that's 3 heights already just by putting on the balance board. And if I'm wearing my slippers, it's not as high as the balance board. But it's one of those things where if I put it in a viewing position that I really like while standing and or sitting, that would be the 4th position. Or even if you have people over, you can put it in a optimal position for as many people as possible. And I think having pegboard is nice, but I'd rather have shelves that I can put things on quite easily. Because I know a lot of people love to display posters, anime figurines, Funko Pops, and there are, because it is regular pegboard, you can just put hangers for these things. And I think pegboard, if you use regular pegboard, you can actually just put hangers and then put a piece of a platform on the hanger. and you'd be able to put a display piece. And I think they only come in black. If they came in white, that would be much better than black because it looks like they only come in black. But then again, you can spray paint it. Hold up. I did get messages. There you go. Silent keys. There. Alright. Where was I? Yeah, no, the options, I really think it's... The base idea is great, but the options aren't quite to what I want them to be, personally. And it has everything to do with just having no... What's it called? Having no... no other color options. I like the dark desk, and I just hope that it's not plywood underneath that, or it's not a veneer under whatever the desk is made of. Because for the price it's going for, I'd rather just be able to buy the legs in the separate accessories and be able to clamp it into the desk. And they didn't really show whether it actually wobbled or not. I think they didn't do a wobble test. Because if you do a wobble test, I think that would be one of the things where, okay. That would make a lot of sense. Because at least with this one, there isn't a lot of wobble, but as you can see, if I press down, it wobbles a lot. You can see it on the camera. There you go. But yeah, the new Corsair desk, I like the idea. I didn't really think of that idea. But I would definitely love to try and implement that on a new desk that I would be making. I'm relatively handy, so I think I can just pull that off myself and create a section instead of the entire thing. The hard part about it is putting a computer on the desk, because I like displaying my computer on my desk instead of just leaving it there on the floor, because there's no point in buying stuff like a Lean Lee O11 Dynamic and then leaving it on the goddamn floor. And people buying tempered glass side panels and again leaving it on the floor. Buying RGB fans and leaving it on the floor. If you're gonna do that, what you want to do is straight up. Yeah, what you want to do is actually display it. And even a hanger case isn't as good as just having it on the table. So a lot of table space would be much better than having less table space. And on the video that I'm trying to explain how the desk is the most important part of a desk setup. It's called a desk setup for a reason. It's not about what you put on the desk. And a lot of people think, oh, it's what you put on the desk that makes the most sense. You don't want to spend it on just a desk. I literally have a friend who's literally spent more than $1,000 just on a desk and the accessories that go with it. I don't know if they like it. I will be talking to them in a couple of days and see how they like it so far. But going by what the configuration they went, the monitor arms, the desk mat that goes with the entire desk, it's going to be awesome. They even got the mount for the PC so it fits in the bottom. That should be good. So yeah, I don't know. It is a thing. That's with the desk setup. But you know, continuing on the desk setup stuff, I think it's always better to start with the desk. How does it fit in your space, and find a proper space for the desk versus the other way around. Because if you can figure that out, you know you can use the maximum desk space that you can get. That way you have a really good base to put all your stuff on or underneath. And that will depend on what you can do. Especially with small spaces, I really think a standing desk would be the ideal thing because you can put things underneath it and you wouldn't sacrifice a lot of leg room. And you can just buy what is called a mat, a anti-fatigue standing mat, and you'll be relatively fine standing for hours on end. It isn't the worst thing, and honestly, a lot of people do it for work, just standing there. But obviously, the best way to do that is to be sitting for 1 hour, standing for 1 hour, or even better, every 20 minutes, alternate between sitting and standing. That is technically the best way to do it, stretching or moving in between, instead of just sitting there constantly or standing there constantly. It's never one or the other, it has to be both. Because, of course, it's a balance of one and the other, not just both. Oh, not one or the other. A lot of people love it when it's black and white. Oh, you have to do this, exactly this. No. It depends on what problem you're trying to solve for your specific needs. And if your needs is different from others, obviously the problems you're trying to solve is going to be different than everyone else's problem. So, instead, what you can do is when you try to build your desk setup, is you want to solve for a problem. That way you have a target. And once you have a target that you would go for, that's when you can actually start making proper decisions on exactly what you need. Because if you just need something to start playing games on, you can literally buy the cheapest setup and have a console, and that's all you need. Because all you want to do is play games. You're not going to be streaming it, so you don't need a PC. There are some people out there who can actually stream straight off an Xbox, so if you want to try it out, you can just do it right off the Xbox and or PS5, and it'll still work fine. You might be missing a camera, but some people don't really need that, and I believe you can attach a camera to the Xbox and have that stream outwards too. But, of course, it's not always going to be like that. Though that's not the best use of resources, because if you are going to do something like upload to YouTube, how are you going to do that on a console? It's practically impossible. You probably can because it does have a browser, but what are the chances that you're properly going to be able to do that off of a controller? You might be able to buy things like a what's it called? A keypad? And it might make things easier, but you're still navigating with with a controller. Then again, I do believe you can actually even put mouse and keyboard on it. So it might not be the worst thing. It's just how do you edit and create a video out of it? That's the hard part. A lot of people think, oh, editing's so hard, it's so complicated. It's not. If you get the basics, you just cut things out and put things together. It's literally that. That's all it is. And if you get that very basic concept down, cut things out that you think are absolutely useless or doesn't provide any value or entertainment, cut those out. And once those are cut out, leave the parts in that are regarding context or have some entertainment value to it. Then you will be able to move to any editing software and you'll be fine because you have the basics down. The graphics doesn't really matter because people will listen to a story when people want to listen to a story, but some people, you can't please everyone. Some people just don't like how things look. So I know a person who tried to watch One Piece, the old One Piece, and they hated it just because of the square aspect ratio and the character figures. The character figures they couldn't get with. They think it was horrible. But then again, the author had a very specific style, and that style didn't jive with them. So, that's fine. Because you can't expect everyone to like exactly what you like. And while it's a great story, the artwork wasn't something they could agree with. So, might as well leave it at that and have them enjoy their other shows. I've had people who enjoyed SAO, and it's like, oh, how did you even enjoy that? Well, I enjoyed SAO for some of its hype sakuga, or hype battle choreography. Battle choreography to me is one of those really good things because I grew up watching stuff like Jackie Chan and whatnot, Jet Li, all those guys. So it's all about the fight choreography for me and the story for it go through. SAO 1 was good. No, 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 no. SAO 1 was not good. SAO 1 was okay until it became bad. And then the fight scenes were relatively good. That's what it was. If it was your first anime or one of the animes you watched before watching really good anime, it was good. It was really good. You know, because it had everything for everyone, even including slice of life. Because there was an arc where it was slice of life and people hated it. I didn't hate it as much, but it was nice and comforting and got really, really slow. And there were sections where it didn't make sense to have, but they kept it anyways. So yeah, SAO 1 was decent. It's a great starter. However, going to SAO, what's it called? SAO 2, I blank on, it was called like the Fairy Realm, whatever it was. It was absolutely bonkers, kind of horrible. They tried to pull a Goblin Slayer, I guess, is the term you could use nowadays, where it was gruesome at the start, just to catch your attention. Basically, it's a clickbait headline, and then they give you the regular content afterwards. And right now, that is FS triggered. Yeah, no, yeah, it triggered a lot of people. Everyone didn't like that. Goblin Slayer would trigger a lot of people too. And that's kind of one of those really, really bad things. Yeah. But the fight scenes, we'll admit, were almost always decent at the very least. However, the latest SAO, what was that? Alicization, where they were fighting. Oh, that's such good fight. I like the fight. The story of the fight is so good. But other than that, it was kind of garbage. It was horrible. The story was bad. It was all over the place. Didn't make sense. Even the fight scenes, there was like a story to the fight scene. The story of the fight, where it goes from one to other, everyone trying to one up each other, someone getting to a point they were so powerful that they seemed impossible to beat, and then getting beat. You know what I mean? It's great. It's an underdog type story. You know? And everyone loves an underdog type story. I say that, but I don't think everyone actually does. Like I said before, not everyone likes the same thing that everyone likes. And I know there were even creators, when they were going through the Game Awards, they were memeing on all of the advertisements and all of the trailers weren't that good. And some people dogpiled them and said, oh my god, you're not even fans of games anymore. You're so angry about how these people are celebrating their wins and whatnot. I'm like, yeah. It's because they want to know more about the games. They don't really care about the other people that are celebrating. They want to know more about the games, not the celebration of the people who worked on it. So they care more about the games than the actual people that are there. You know? That's the difference. But that is opinion based, a lot of them, instead of agreeing that everyone has their own opinions regarding something like the Game Awards, which is, like I said, quite recent. Even the winner of the Content Creator of the Year, the winner didn't agree with what was happening, who was Content Creator of the Year. They thought it would be someone else, guaranteed, instead of them. That was hilarious to watch. I'm gonna drink some water. Everyone do a water check because it's been 2 hours. I just looked at the clock. Alright. Whew. Let's keep going. Where was I? Right, not everyone likes the same. Oh, this guy. Not everyone likes the same thing, and even within the same space, such as games, the most common games are FPS. But there are subgenres within it, such as what's it called? Roguelikes or roguelites. In other words, the circumstances change from one version to the other or one playthrough to the other, where you're never gonna have the exact same playthrough, making it quite hard to gain skill. And a lot of people don't like that. There's Souls-like, in other words, a high skill level type game where it ramps up in difficulty relatively fast than normal. So there is that too. There are way too many games out there. There are even just novel sims that are considered games just because you have the choices that you go through, and you just go through the choice and go, yeah, this is choice 1, this is choice 2, this is choice 3, so on and so forth. But yeah, that is part of it. You kind of just keep going and you find exactly what you want, and you try to stick into it or stick to it, and then you try other things once in a while to see if your palette changes over time, or if you can cleanse your palette. That way you can find more joy in the stuff that you do normally, right? It's like, yeah, I remember why I like the games that I like. It's because I hate these things about these other games, no? So you gotta try things constantly to actually be able to go enjoy more things, even if it is the same thing that you're doing. And I find that a lot of people don't do that. They just do the same thing. Oh, I don't enjoy that, so I'm not gonna try it. Like, no, just try it. You go, yes, to confirm your suspicions, instead of just complain about, oh, I'm not gonna try it because I don't like it when it does that. Yeah, but you might like other things about it, and if you are creative, it might give you ideas on how to make other things better. For example, the turn-based combat. There is turn-based combat that makes sense to me. It's a game called Child of Light, and they made turn-based combat feel so good. It feels so organic. It makes so much sense. Because there's a bar on, I don't know, the top or the bottom of the screen where it would show your turn upcoming, and there is a small period where it says action. And if it's your character's turn, it would hit that action bar, and you get to choose what they're able to do. And depending on the casting time, you are going to be stuck in the action phase. And you can disrupt opponents or yourself to keep doing more actions. So it makes sense. I guess you'd have to see it to know it, or play it to understand it. But it makes sense. If Pokemon had that type of action sequence, it makes speed look normal. Speed makes sense. Because imagine increasing your speed just to reduce casting time. That way you can hit a lot of interrupts after interrupt after interrupt after interrupt. And it's great. It feels rewarding. But if you're in a game like Pokemon, it's excessively simple. It's one of the reasons I stopped playing Pokemon. They made it so ridiculously simple that I don't like the game. I don't enjoy the game at all. It's come to a point that when I nuzlocked, I forget what game it was. I nuzlocked one of the newer games, not the open world ones, not the completely open world ones, and I almost beat it. I got all the way to the Elite Four, and I whiffed because, by pure luck, the Pokemon that I first threw out was weak to the Pokemon that they start with. So I was stuck in this position where, well, I have to switch out because no matter how tanky my first Pokemon is, they're definitely gonna lose. And I have no prior knowledge because I did a blind Nuzlocke. And it felt horrible because I can't do anything. Meanwhile, there's no true weakness. There is weakness in something like Child of Light, but it makes sense because you can move things out of the way because you have some time. It feels like you can do something with your other characters while while being able to hide your weakness, so to speak. But with Pokemon, no, it's just here's turn 1, here's turn 2, here's turn 3. And who goes first is dependent on your speed stat. And I go, okay, look, I understand that makes sense, but that's it. There's no change in mechanics, right? I would rather have the speed stat do something like, oh, you can attack twice just because you have a quick recovery time due to your speed stat. Makes sense. But obviously your attack isn't going to be as high, but you can still have high DPS. You know, I would rather have that type of gameplay from Child of Light than I would from Pokemon. And even the Persona games, I don't quite like it as well, but it's still more entertaining because there's a larger variety of games that you can play within that game. The main part of it is the roleplay aspect that you actually go through, and you know, the whole Japanese thing, go through school and life and have a social life and do all those things, get a relationship, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. Because there's more variety. Pokemon has zero variety. It's your basic, oh hey, by the way, this is it. It's terribly underwhelming. And I remember as a child, I was so excited just because, oh, I can figure out puzzles. There were hard battles. There were Black and White and Black and White 2 were peak Pokemon. After that, it turned into garbage. Whoever was making Black and White 2, the director left. And yeah, no, whoever the director is, if there is a game, if they're making a game that is Pokemon-ish, that is what I want to see. Whatever they're making, there's probably going to be good. Unless they're just gone and I'm not aware of it. But never follow the company. Follow the people that make the games, not the company that makes the games. Because the company just funds the people who make the games. Just FYI, it allows them to live to be able to create the games, not the other way around. The people don't live to serve the company. So don't look at a company and go, yes, I'll stick to that because they make good games. No, the people make good games. The company funds them and makes sure they're still able to make good games today and in the future. But once the company stops doing that, that's when you just give up on the company. You don't give it. I get it. Lethal Company is a new game that came out, and I do enjoy the streams of it, but do not be a good asset for a company that does not care about you. It's fun as a game, not fun in real life. Do not emulate that in real life. You're a boss somewhere. Think about your employees. Think about your employees and try to make them really, really nice. Be really nice to them when you can. I understand it's not like the worst thing, and it doesn't make the best business decision because the money-wise, but one of the best things you can do is not have to hire people year after year after year after year. If you can keep people there, that'd be great. I know there are companies out there and people out there that go, oh, by the way, if you work hard, we can get you a promotion, and if you get promoted, that would be great. And you work hard for an entire year, and you're like, oh yeah, finally I can go get that promotion, and they fire you. What? Just so that they can hire some other chump to do the exact same thing. It pisses me off. It's not great. I get it. It helps the stocks of the company. It makes sure that you spend as little money as possible. But sometimes you're just letting go talent that would help you in the long run. You gotta recognize that. And keeping those people that are like that very talented, knows what they're doing, is able to increase efficiency, train other people, you keep those guys. You 100% keep those guys. Plus, you don't spend as much in HR and marketing for the HR to be able to get more employees. You know what I mean? The money just goes around anyways, so just pay them what they're worth. Don't stop being, concerned so much about the money. Because, like I said previously, slow down, think about it. in the future, because a lot of people or a lot of companies just go and be like, oh yeah, it's about this year's current projections, and then they don't see the long game 3 to 5 years down the road. They see 1 year within this fiscal year. That's all they see, and I hate that mentality on a lot of companies. Makes no sense. I don't understand how they can do that. But that's how it worked when they were a small indie, because they had to make sure and ends meet with during those times. So it makes sense. But now that they're big companies, they take zero risks, and they don't even try to have a small offshoot that has high risk with high reward, and a section that is, you know, less risk but is consistent, because they can afford to split this up now. They don't have to just have one game come out every year. They're hiring so many people, and they're being terribly inefficient. It's ridiculous, honestly. I don't understand, because even I've seen a couple of things where Dr. Disrespect was going through Call of Duty maps, and he bumped into 2 dead ends, and he was so disappointed. He was terribly disappointed. Who's making these maps? Why is there a dead end in a map? Why would you have a dead end in a map that is a small stage? It has to at least loop around. Yeah, no, or it has to lead to somewhere else in the map. All those gigabytes of space wasted. Just wasted. People being inefficient, people thinking, of course, a lot of people have this much resources, we'll use it to our maximum capacity and not think about if we can squeeze a little bit more out of it. No, they'll just use the maximum capacity. It's fine. We have more resources. We'll push it on to the customer. Even physical discs now, it's basically a download code. Still have to go there, download it. There's no such thing as games that use download or physically install, and it's done, and you can just play the game whenever you want. That's no longer a thing. No longer a thing. It's very saddening to see, honestly, from my end, but it is what it is currently. That's what I hate. One of these days, someone should try that. Just try installing a game for the campaign and seeing whether or not it will play the campaign, at the very least. I highly doubt it's gonna work properly. You require an update for this game. Dude, I have the disc. Just install it off of the disc. Not even compressed enough. Uh-oh. I might have lubed that one. Hopefully it's fine. It shouldn't be too lubed. Maybe I'll just be more careful. There we go. Let's clean this up because I'm running out of space. That is here. Neck. Oh, stretch a little bit. Oh my god. Woo. Yeah, no. I can see why people don't like to do the whole lubing thing. Not a lot of people want to be looking down on their desk, kind of figuring out what to do, what's next. Yeah. But yeah. I wish companies thought of the future a lot more and just within a year. Because that's all they think about. That's what it feels like. It's within the year. I know their projections are normally a year. And I know that games like Pokemon is almost yearly now at this point, just so that they can keep pumping out more Pokemon, more plushies, more other things to sell, including Pokemon cards. And it just feels ridiculous, honestly. The new 151 came out, and like, it's just basically generations all over. Okay, there we go. But yeah, I think gaming now with AI will hit a lot of more people. And because of AI, the art assets can be upscaled to great levels in comparison to before, where, how do you say it? A lot of people, yeah, there was stuff like Newgrounds, like Flash games were a thing, and I think that's gonna happen again. I think there's gonna be a boom because of AI, where there's gonna be a flash in the pan where there's so many games, so many great ideas, and some of these people will just make it into the actual gaming industry and put that in an actual game that is polished, because they actually get paid to polish their work. And one day that's gonna be the case. We're gonna go back into games that have a lot of polish. I'm glad that Baldur's Gate won the Game of the Year award because of that. There should be a lot more companies paying a lot more attention to how games should be made, and that it's not about having the most money all the time. You gotta have games. You have a flagship to call to arms all the people going, hey, look what we made. It's the most amazing thing ever, aka Baldur's Gate. And now they're just anticipating your next move. Even though the next move isn't gonna be the best thing, it could be a TikTok cycle where one's just a cash grab, the other one is your magnum opus. That's the thing. Because you gotta do some work, you gotta fund it, therefore, it makes sense. It's fine. And people would probably understand that. But no, they just go, nah, we have to pump out as much money each year after year. It's no longer about making the best game, it's about making the most profit. And honestly, kudos to Larian Studios, I believe. Larian Studios for going for the best game, not the most profit. That's why they got Game of the Year. And that's how you're supposed to win an audience. That's what got them there in the first place. Now, keep doing that and something else. Not about getting this one formula down. And I get it. That's not looped at all. Getting a formula down just so that you're able to pump out as much money, it makes sense. That's what Pokemon been doing for the years and years now. They haven't really changed the formula. I understand a lot of people, oh, they changed the formula ever since Pokemon Arceus. And you'd kind of be right, but they just took out the redundant parts of the formula. The things that don't make sense. They edited out the parts that were boring for regular Pokemon. But it's still the same thing. You still have to do the exact same things. They gave you reward systems for doing the exact same things as regular Pokemon. The difference is now that it's smoother going between, let's say, a battle and... yeah, not just a battle. It's smoother getting in between a battle and catching the Pokemon instead of having to go through this weird animation sequences going... and then having the option to run. You can just never hit them entirely, and it feels like skill. It feels like you're in control. When you were playing back in the day, or when I was playing back in the day, you would go into the grass and you had zero control whether you were able to fight the Pokemon or not. And whether you want to see if a Pokemon is worth fighting or not, you had no control over that as well. Because you either didn't see a Pokemon or you saw a Pokemon but you wouldn't know which one you're fighting. So they changed that. It's the same formula, but now they're able to showcase, by the way, you're gonna see this Pokemon because as you walk towards it, you can then now engage it in a battle and or just walk around because you don't really care for it. But it makes a lot more sense. You know what I mean? And I do like that they have like an achievement system if you catch a certain amount of a certain Pokemon. That makes a lot more sense, to be honest. Because it is a collecting game, and the more you collect, the more data you have. Also makes sense. Right? So, it made it terribly enjoyable in comparison to its older counterparts, where there was a lot of clunkiness in the design due to the limitations of the hardware and software at the time. But now, they're no longer limited by that, therefore, it makes a much smoother experience. But that's pretty much it. But yeah, going back to the desk setup and I guess keyboards, but don't really know much about that simply because I'm relatively new to the hobby. I'm just returning to the Cherry MXs again because I need to know, like, what was it like before? You know? Is this the problem? It's not lubed? none of the switches were lubed. The old switches from the mechanical keyboards, from the gaming brands from at least 5 to 8 years ago, they're not lubed at all. So this actually might be the issue. So I'm putting them in an enthusiast level board while also lubing them. This should, in theory, make them much better than before. But we're gonna find out once we get into the typing tests later on. Alright. But so far, it seems like it might have helped. Because I'm putting these in on the alphas, and I think you can hear that. It's so much cleaner. Before it was rattly and it didn't feel right. Yeah. So it helps. Doing this helps. Crazy. Lubing it helps. Oh no. That is one coiled switch. Springs. There you go. Get those out. Get that lined up. Get that out. Okay. Go. But that is back in the day where they had no way to update things, and because they have a way to update things now, people get lazy and they don't ship it they ship it even though it's not quite done yet. I wish that was the case. Yeah, but going back to that oh yeah, okay. Go sleep, that's fine. Because I know the baby can be quite annoying. They're just gonna go, oh no! Help me! I have a rumble in my tummy and I don't know if I need something in it or out of it. So yeah, you go do that. And I'm gonna stay here and finish up this job. And hopefully, by the end of the stream, we'll be able to test out the Cherry MX Browns. And they should go fine. It has been 2 hours and 30 minutes. 20 minutes technically, but almost 2 hours 30 just doing this. Lubing definitely takes a much longer time. I might move lubing to Mondays, but at the same time I can't do lubing without testing them first on Monday. Such a conundrum. Tests on Monday, lubes on Tuesday, and then games on Wednesday. But this is the lubed one, yeah. I thought I grabbed one from there. The unlubed pile. So yeah, it's one of those things. Jesus. Neck and neck. Oh. 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 Where was I? Yeah, no, desk setup. I was trying to do a desk setup video, and while writing the script for it, it keeps kind of falling apart because I keep mentioning the specific things that I have on my desk. But I might just make a room tour video kind of thing where I mention how I got what I got, how to make the best desk setup or room setup. Because I know there are guys like TechSource. What's it called? The TechSource? Yeah, TechSource, where they go rank setups, you know? And honestly, you get a lot of ideas just by going through a lot of the setups that are being showcased in that show. And damn, they are freaking awesome. And I know I do have a friend, his setup is literally, I kid you not, his setup is two drawers of equivalent height. They're not even the same drawers. They put a book on one of the drawers, and then they put a tabletop on it. It's not screwed on or anything. I think they put tape or something just so that it doesn't wiggle too much. And I'm sitting there going, Jesus Christ, isn't that just a temporary solution? No. They've had it for 15 years. And I'm sitting there going, nope, get a desk. You're gonna you have to get a desk. There's no way. And the guy straight up blames his grandpa for not allowing him to change it. What do you mean? Like, your grandpa? And I kid you not, this guy, his grandpa His grandpa has been dead for more than 3 years. And still blames him for everything. Dude, your grandpa may have started it, but you kept it going. For no reason other than you're comfortable in living in that state. Because you didn't have to change anything. And I understand that. But why wouldn't you make it better? Just by getting a desk. It's not even that complicated of a solution. It's just, oh yeah, get a desk. It doesn't matter if the desk is an equivalent desk that is actually a desk. Not a tabletop on top of a drawer. Yes, I understand the whole IKEA setup thing is available, and that is literally what people do. But people actually screw those together. This is literally laid on top. And because of the materials of the table and the drawers don't match, it doesn't even look like it would be a proper setup. It's a metal jar with a book and a laminate tabletop. I just, no. Just don't. Just stop. Just grab yourself a table. Don't. Why are you putting yourself through this? It looks small on him too. And sometimes he bumps it and it wobbles ridiculously. It's almost like jello. And I'm going, oh, how is your stuff not broken yet? I don't understand. That's horrible. Yeah. It gives you a heart attack. There was also times where, yeah, I was talking about the desk setup. The setup I have right now is literally, as you can probably see, is a lot of headphones, a bunch of keyboards over there, a lot of switches, and those are notebooks for my own keeping, safeguard keeping, or my own journaling, question mark? Record keeping, there you go, record keeping, that's the word I was looking for my own record keeping. And it makes sense. If you saw the other side of this room, it's relatively messy, but it's still not as disorganized as that one guy. And yeah, no, he loves his anime figures. However, he has no place to display them, so he literally slaps them onto the closest flat surface that is available for it to be displayed on. It's not even being showcased properly, which does a disservice to the figure, in my opinion. And looking at it, it's literally next to $5 figures, $30 figures, $50 figures, and this thing is $500. I'm sitting going, why is it next to all this garbage? You know? It cheapens it. Looks-wise, it cheapens it. It feels like that thing could have just been part of the pile of $10 items. It was just really, really big. No one would know. No one would know. And that's the problem. Yeah. Yeah. And even right now, he's struggling to do a bunch of that stuff. You know? Yeah. I just wait. I hope him well, honestly, but I don't think he's gonna do well. I did not that section at all. Go try that. Not that legs. There you go. Yeah. Desk setup, yes. So the desk setup, my desk setup, all of this stuff that I have, I think that's what the video is going to be about. The whole desk setup and kind of the room where the best way to create a desk setup is to buy things one at a time. And starting with the table, get the biggest table you can afford, because you're just going to buy one later, and throwing away a table is ridiculously hard. And you wouldn't know. It feels weird that you would think that the table is the least important thing, but it's the most important thing. You gotta have a really good table to start with, and then you can put things on top and or under it, and it would be better. It would be beneficial for you. Where the hell? It is. how that happened. And the ones I was starting out with doesn't seem to be lubed properly, unfortunately. I'm making sure that they are okay. It doesn't sound bad, honestly, so it should be fine. Uh-oh. Ah, that's why, because it wasn't completely closed. So make sure your switches are completely closed before trying to put them into a keyboard. There you go. Looks fine. Sounds fine. Yeah. But yeah, desk setups. And yeah, you have to piecemeal it one at a time, but start with a really good base. Otherwise, there's no point in upgrading it later because you're gonna get into trouble after trouble after trouble, making it easier to go with the better version first instead of waiting until you have enough money to do things. I'm like, yes, just wait. Like, if you can wait, if you can afford to wait first, then wait until you can get the better thing first. Don't bother getting the worst thing first, because you're gonna be spending 10 times more than you originally thought, just because you have to spend on the crappy thing first and then the good thing, which defeats the purpose, to be honest. But the basic premise of the video would be to be able to get the best desk setup is to know what problems you're facing and what problems you want to solve. And part of that, ow, Jesus Christ, did I poke myself? No, I didn't. Okay, part of that is trying to find, like I said, the problem you want to solve. Not what other people have and then just pasting it on yourself. What problem do you want to solve? And a lot of the times it's just, I want to be able to play games. I want to be able to work from home remotely. Cool, what helps with that? Do you have problems with your current setup? Do you have a current setup? Are you creating a setup for the first time? These are questions you gotta ask yourself. Are you trying to emulate what you have at the office? That's another question. Because some people actually like working in the office just because they have a better setup over there. Even though all the monitors and stuff, they're not the highest quality. They're not the best. But they are... Oh, that is not shiny in comparison to the other stuff. Why? Is that because that's a different spring, or... Yeah, that's weird. Let me grab these two. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but we'll try. Alright. Yeah, those look different even on camera. That one is shiny, the other one is not. It looks like it's matte, so I can turn it, see? You can keep track of which is shiny and which is not shiny. That is weird. I don't know what would cause that, but it is what it is. Oh. It looks like it's just constantly vibrating, honestly, in my brain. That's the way it looks like. It looks like it's just constantly vibrating, but I know that's lubed, so we're gonna leave it as is for the most part, instead of trying to fight it. But it's the only one that looks like that. And hopefully it doesn't change too much, because it looks like it's the same material, just a different finishing. So it's just not polished, I guess, lack of a better term. Oop. But yeah, so yeah, going back to that. Going back to the desk setup. I think someone asked earlier, because I was watching Alex Soto's stream earlier, and someone asked, like, what are some good accessories? And honestly, if you have a problem you can solve, for example, you can buy scissors and have it as a desk accessory. There are some scissors that look like it would fit on a desk because it looks like it's decoration on top of being a useful item. And I think those are the best types of items. It doubles as something that is useful, right? Like, for example, this mat doubles as something else, as a work mat, so that I don't mess up my desk mat, the actual desk mat. So those are multiple things that you can do. Okay, let's start finishing up the rest of these switches. before the, what's it called? The loot gets a little too dusty for anyone's liking, to be honest. There you go. Oh. Stretch check. Alright. But yeah, start with the desk space that you're able to use. And I understand, oh, I don't have that much space for a desk. Yes, that's exactly why you want to know what can you do. What is your surface? What is the base that you are working off of? That way you can make decisions easier. Once decisions are, you know where your decisions are going, it gives you a direction. And once you know that direction, you can start walking towards it. Because unlike a lot of other things in life, you can just start from the bottom. Or you can start from the top. You just arrange and put things already that are already there. So it's quite different. But yes. Start with, like I said, start with the desk. Figure out what space you're trying to fill and what problem you're trying to solve. Once you know those, you will easily be able to create a desk setup. And you can find a path where you can upgrade. Get your base needs taken care of first. Once you get your base needs taken care of first, that's when you can add extras that will help in promoting your overall health and your overall quality of life, is what they call it. So it's a quality of life upgrade past that point. In other words, you know you don't need it, therefore you can toy around with the ideas a lot more, and when you buy it, you know you don't need it, so you aren't as disappointed. So you don't have to be as disappointed with the things that you buy. So because those are just extra. It's extra. You know what you need, and you've already solved for that. Now all you need is extras to improve your quality of life. And yeah, having a computer isn't all that it's kind of cracked up to be, because I find that people who never had a computer before just expect things to go on smoothly. And no, when you're first setting up or doing anything for the first time, you don't know what you're doing. Therefore, it won't be smooth, period. And they just believe, oh, it's smooth, it's a computer, it works like a computer, right? Well, yes, but you've never set it up before. So you tend to get confused because you've never had to set it up. And that's where you go, oh, this should be fine. And you don't realize that other people set it up differently, or the one at work is set up differently. And you just get confused. I used to work in tech support. And in tech support, I had 3 monitors. And here I only have 2. However, I do have an ultra wide. So it is about 1.5 monitors, and I can use it in a way that makes sense. And when I was using it for work from home, that's where I've got a lot of the small productivity hacks, like moving. I only had 1 at the time. When I got into the productivity hacks where I can use multiple monitors using a single monitor, and like multiple monitors in one monitor. Well, that makes no sense. Well, you can technically have multiple desktops with different different monitor arrangements. In other words, it doesn't have to be just one or the other. You can go through. It doesn't have to. You don't have to sacrifice on both. But and you put on one screen what normally you wouldn't put on the other. So if you're just monitoring something, you can just put it on the back end screen instead of having it front and center all of the time. And if you have, for example, for me, I have Stream Up, and when I was working IT, I had to have a remote session to multiple computers and servers. Not IT, sorry. Tech support. So in order to do that, I had to move from desktop to desktop. I would use my mouse with extra buttons to just go click, and then it would just move me to another desktop. And it was great, because it worked out quite well. But with the desk themselves, figure out what you're trying to do. a lot of the things that are extraneous, get the base level keyboard if you really have to, especially if you're not into stuff like keyboards. Then yeah, just get the base level stuff. You don't have to go with the fancy stuff. And honestly, those are things that if you decide to upgrade, you bought the lowest stuff anyways. And if you don't know what you want to begin with, you have to try and figure that out. And if you have friends, you can try their keyboards out, you can try their switches out, you could try a bunch of other things, especially when you are part of a community that just loves doing stuff like this. And why not? Just go do it. Just go figure that out. You do not have to what's it called? Spend your money by yourself. Just you get some help from some people. You don't have to do everything yourself. Like, I get it. I think a lot of people think you have to do everything yourself. You have to get things brand new. But if you're new to the hobby itself, buying used and stuff like that is a huge boon. They're a complete boon, because imagine having to spend a couple $100 on just the switches, and that doesn't even include the keyboard. So if you have an old keyboard, you can desolder the switches, which is what I've done. You desolder the switches and put in new switches after that. So now you have the skill to desolder the switches. It's on a gaming keyboard that you don't hate. And honestly, the newer keyboards, they're all hot swap anyways, so you don't even need a desoldering gun. Or even a solder stick, I guess you can say. So that's why you can be, you go from one to the other, and you are able to test out switches. So just test out a bunch of switches with a base model, because a viewer just yesterday came in and he showed off a Royal Clutch. I think the Royal Clutch is under $100, and it sounded nothing like you would imagine a regular keyboard would be. It sounded almost like a custom, but not quite as clean, but it's relatively close. You could hear the dog snoring in the background, but it was one of those sounds you would expect from a higher end board, but it wasn't a higher end board. It was just a regular keyboard. And a lot of the sound of the keyboard comes from the switch. As you can hear with just this, it's terribly clean in comparison to yesterday, where it felt and sounded scratchy. It sounded like you were it sounded like you were scratching someone's back, basically, more than scratching your own. Yeah. And that ended up with going through a couple of other switches that were available at the time, just by going with other switches. And if, for example, you use it for work, I'm like, oh yeah, but I can't have noisy switches for work. This by itself isn't noisy. And I know Cherry MX Browns are not exactly known to be noisy, but there are even silent switches that I use on my other keyboard over here, which is the Keychron K6. Another really good keyboard. It does do Bluetooth, and it does wired. It works on both Mac and PC, so you can just use it regardless of which choice you have. And because it's hot swap, you can then, what's it called? You can then test the switches that you actually like, find that out, and go with that when you buy your own custom board. Of course, you want to look at reviews and see what you believe it would sound like with those boards. But if you have a genuine feel that you like, then go with that. Use that as your base. And the base ones are linear, tactile, and clicky, of course. So once you know which ones you like the best, then you can go on and find out which type of sound signature you'd like. Because I think the feel of the Switch matters more than a lot of people think. It's just a button. You just press it. Whatever. But it matters the most. The sound comes secondary. Because a lot of people do touch type. A lot of people don't just sit there and go, oh yeah, it's about this very specific thing. So yeah. I have a Keychron K6, NK65, GMMK Pro. There's I have the Iron 165 or 65. I don't know which one it's called, but It's one of those things where you have to try as many things as you possibly can in order to know what you want. You don't know what you want until you try it. Because right now, it feels like I really like tactile switches over linear switches. And my brain cannot figure out linear switches for the life of it. But I'm trying to use them as much as possible. That way, later on, I can figure out how I'm typing. Because right now, it looks like I'm typing in a sense that using linear switches doesn't make sense in my brain. It could be my typing style versus my actual typing, but that's pretty much it. Holy crap. I'm losing it. I'm totally losing it. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But what is going on? Diablo. Oh, yeah. It seems like Apex is slowly winding down. I wonder if there's gonna be a lot of people that play Apex by next year. I think because there isn't a lot of events, Apex isn't getting that much updates. And to be fair, it's not doing really that well, and the skins that they keep pushing out isn't that fun to look at, to be honest. I really like the skins in mobile because mobile had, I don't know if they had a better team or anything like that, but their skins were bangers for the most part. Like there were some that were stinkers, but a lot of them they looked good and they made sense for the character too. Yeah. So hopefully at one point we're gonna get, and I think the perk system in mobile was kind of funny too because it gave a lot more variance in the game while maintaining some of its consistency where you know what to expect. You just don't know what to expect within those boundaries, which is what makes a good game. You know the rules and you can adjust for it when someone uses the rules to their advantage. That's the difference. Woo. Okay. I have to eat after this. Probably gonna snack. I'm not gonna do anything in particular. Eat after this. Play some Apex, which is gonna be good. Do the dailies. Call it a day. Probably record tomorrow and whatnot. But we'll see. Got some work to do too. Don't really know what to do about that desk setup video. I'm kind of stuck because I could just keep doing keyboard content on my YouTube, but it's not one of those things where you kind of wanna just, I don't want to pigeonhole myself too much into it because I'd rather stay more of a tech creator versus a keyboard creator. Because I like tech in general, not just keyboards. This is just busy work in comparison to YouTube. YouTube is technical busy work, but that's a different hobby entirely. I do a lot of product photography for it, or videography as well. But yeah, no, it doesn't take as much time as I thought it would normally. It normally takes me about an hour to 2 hours just to get a single photo for a thumbnail. And if you saw some of the thumbnails I have, it's crazy. At least I believe so. It might not be to a lot of people's tastes, but I like it, and I wish I can improve a lot more in a shorter amount of time, but I'm only improving as much as I make thumbnails instead of not making the thumbnails. And that's the difference, right? You have to push through and make the work essentially work. You have to make it work. It's not about, oh, I don't have the passion for it. Yeah, but if your skill level at a minimum is at a certain point, like why not? Why not just go for it and go for it, you know? Because I have a friend who does commission work, and he's good at what he does. However, he gets burned out really fast. And I told him, you have to go and do the commission work anyways, but keep some stuff for you. You don't have to just do commission work. I get it. You have fun doing some of the commission work, but you're not guaranteed. So what you can control is doing the non-commission work for you and then doing the commission work for other people and helping them out. And they also, of course, have imposter syndrome where they don't think that it's worth the price. I'm like, yeah, but people keep tipping you extra money. So I honestly believe they believe it's worth more. So why not just start charging more, and you can get selective about your clients instead of having to go with the lower end ones, so to speak, who want a very specific look but aren't willing to pay the price. There are going to be a lot of people willing to pay the price, and not only that, it's one of those weird fallacies where a lot of people look at the price, and the higher the price in their perceived mind, the higher the quality. And that's not always true. Because sometimes you can look at it and go, yeah, it's the same quality as before, but I increased the price, but everyone believes, it's gone better. There's a lot of placebo going out there, even with certain games where I think Halo is a big example of this, where because the handgun at the start of the game is technically the most powerful weapon in the game. However, because it's the starter weapon, no one believes it is. No one actually uses it until they pick it back up again and go, wait, if you look at the stats, it's the most powerful weapon. What? And some people, I forget what game it was, but it was a shooter game as well. There was a shooter game that had two different guns. One was like a Tommy, and the other one was a, what's it called? Like one of those weird pump ones with a cassette inset on it, like a disc loader kind of thing. The stats of both guns were exactly the same. No change to it. It just had a different feel to it. The only difference between these two guns were the sound that it played when it made a shot. And they found that a lot of people keep complaining that one gun is weaker than the other, or the other gun is way too powerful. But the devs know for a fact that those two guns are the exact same stat-wise. However, the sound is different. That's it. No real difference. So they were very confused. But just because of the perceived notion that it's used, or it's more powerful, it became more powerful because people started using it more, and a lot of people got used to how it would work in their hands. But when people swapped over to the other gun, they went, oh, this is not as good as the other one because it doesn't feel the same. Even though the only thing that's changed is the sound of the gun. And you're like, how? It's straight up placebo. There's no ifs and or buts about it, unfortunately. And it happens everywhere. Why do you think people love iPhone? It's a simpler version of Android. And they like the fact that it doesn't give them the option to mess up, so to speak. And that's why it annoys a lot of the Android users. Like, well, it's not that complicated. I don't see why it would matter that it's this very specific configuration. But for some people, it matters. So they perceive it as a higher value add instead of a downgrade. You don't have to use those options. Those options are there, but unlike Apple, they show it to you and they say, hey, you can change it if you want. And on Apple side, they just go, no, you can't change it. This is the best for you. I don't care. Seems degrading, honestly. They expect you to be both stupid and incompetent, which is ridiculous. I hate it. But yes, seems like the issue with the old boards is straight up, it wasn't lubed. It was just not lubed. If the old boards were lubed, we might not even be in this position right now. Crazy. One more. Neck. Neck. Neck check. Alright. Doing a couple bit more and should be done. We should be able to take this out of the bag. Lube is done. There you go. Now, just need to put this all together and it will be great. Almost done. We just need the mods to be able to go through it. Holy Christ. I thought I'd be done by hour 3, but it looks like I will be done a little later than hour 3. Trying to hurry up here. This was supposed to be a 2.5 hour stream, not 3. I thought I'd be done. I'm glad I'm only doing a 65% board, because if I was even doing a 75, that is a lot more switches I'd have to open and lube. God damn. I might not even have done it. I would do this section over here. God. Just the left-hand alphas and mods instead. Damn. Oh. There we go. Holy crap. There you go. Holy moly. But yeah, so many things happening today. I wonder. Okay, so hopefully we can actually finish this before the 3-hour mark. Oh my god. Come on. There we go. Finish it before the 3-hour mark, hopefully. We don't really know, but we'll find out. There we go. I keep forgetting I have to put the stem in before the tops. There we go. Slowly getting to that point where everything is lubed and everything is together. Ta-da. Third one. Feels way too soft. Honestly, these JMX, that felt a lot softer. It was weird. Yeah, I felt a lot softer than the other ones. God damn. Oh, fun out. Oh, this works out. It's almost done, so should be fine. I think I'll just use some of the older switches on this section. That way we have a comparison from the old ones to the new ones, aka the lubed and unlubed. We'll find a distinct difference, hopefully, between the other two. Hopefully there is a distinct difference. There better be a distinct difference. That would have been a lot of waste of time if there wasn't. That was a crazy waste of time. There we go. Hopefully no spring ping after that. Ta-da! so many things happening. Yeah. Desk accessories. I remember someone saying at one point, you know, I was like, so I was watching Alex's stream. Someone actually said, "Oh, would you gamble away your life savings?" And I think, would you consider gambling your life savings? Honestly, depending on how big that number is, the funnier it gets. You know? Can you imagine someone walking up to a casino table going, you know, I'm gonna bet my life savings on this roll. $5 on the table, please. No. It doesn't matter. It's so small. It's so insignificant that you're gonna be fine if you lost that 5 or gained 5 out of that. Like, it didn't matter at this point. Oh my god. Yeah, I was talking about desk setups at one point. So we're gonna continue talking about desk setups for a little bit. And desk setups, honestly, is one of those things where it is 100% personal preference. For example, here on the stream, it looks really, really dark. However, normally I take this off, this desk mat off, and use a white mat or the white table. So the table itself is completely bright, and it feels better on my eyes. I don't like the feeling of when it's not. Give me one sec. Alright, yeah, so Rumi was asking for some stuff, but basically was looking over things for me, and hopefully it goes well. Because there's certain things that I want to do, and I need it to go well for me to be able to do it. So hopefully it goes well, but you know, I can't tell until it happens, right? Like, it's not feasible, and I hate that is the case, but that is the case currently, and it both pisses me off and gets me terrified. But you know, there is that you can't. It's not lubed enough. I think this is not lubed enough. I'm gonna open this one up again and see if I can lube this a little better. Very specific stem wasn't lubed quite enough. Come on. Oh, such an awkward angle. Gosh. Oh, a little thicker. Oh, there we go. I believe that's fine. Why not? Afterwards. Yeah, this is good. Nah, it just feels kind of crappy regardless. I'll put it over there. Yeah, that feels weird. That specific one feels a little weird. We're gonna leave it as is and make sure that it is as separate as possible. But almost at the typing! Fortunately, a little late, but we'll go through it. Oh my freaking god. Just pushing creates issues. There we go. Make sure not to poke yourself. I've actually already poked myself on stream when closing a switch, and that was not pleasant, I'll tell you that much. It was horrible. Wait, did I do extra? It feels like I did extra, because I feel like I have all the switches I need here. Swear to God, if I did extra for no reason. Oh. No, I didn't do extra. I did exactly the right amount because I took it directly off the keyboard instead of lubing it from the extra batch that I definitely have. Which is ridiculous. There we go. Yeah, some of these sound better than others. Hopefully I lubed consistently enough that it makes sense. Because I was definitely trying to lube consistently, but I might not have enough lube for all of it to be done properly, but we'll find out, I guess. Hopefully this is much better than the other one, because I know just lubing helped the Helios quite a bit to become more silent. More silent. You don't say more silent. There's quiet and there's silent. But yeah, it helped make the Helios become silent in comparison to what it was before, and then I had to lube up the stabs of the Keychron K6 for it to be able to be a silent keyboard. That way I can use it on stream without everyone noticing exactly what I'm typing, especially if I'm typing something like a password or whatnot. And therefore it can be used for anything. So yeah, I have that attached even to my tablet and also my computer. Therefore, I could actually use it anywhere I please. And it's gonna be quiet. And it's a mechanical keyboard. And a lot of people don't think silent keyboards are good. And honestly, I would rather a silent keyboard over a noisy keyboard. However, but that's mostly for work. But when it comes to just personal enjoyment, I would really like a marbly and poppy sound. Kind of like, what's it called? Steel bearings or steel ball bearings being dropped on a marble floor. You know, nice and heavy and meaty. However, there is going to be a nice little thought to it. Alright. Like a sharpness to the sound, despite being meaty and heavy. But this I think isn't gonna sound as good as I want it to be, or I expect it to be. But it's gonna sound much better than it was before. So we're gonna try out and see if it's bad to lube. There's ticking on the bar. That's not bad. I don't hate it. But we will find out if the rest of it are good. We'll do all these as quickly as possible. We'll do some quotes and then call it a day. Let's go. Alright, let's test this out. Oh, that's much cleaner. I like that. That's nice. That's nicer. I don't like the ticking sound coming back up, but that is much nicer. Honestly. Oh, okay. It's weird. I'm excited for Cherry MX Browns, of all things. Not even a new Switch. It's so dumb. Okay. Cherry MX Browns versus, let's say, Bad Seed Tactiles. Bad Seed Tactiles definitely win, hands down. But can I still feel that tactility? Yeah, you can still feel it. You have to type lightly, though. Next row. Yeah, the return sounds bad. I think the top housing, if you change the top housing, it'll be so much better. It sounds like a wet... return, and I don't like it. Type slowly. If you type slowly, it's fine. But if you type fast, okay. So the Cherry MX Browns, definitely for lighter typists, will both sound good and feel good when they are lubed. If they are not lubed, they're not great. So we're gonna definitely test that in a bit here, and I'm gonna try to type lightly in a bit during the quotes test to see if that actually helps with the sound and see how that goes. But I know a lot of typists, when they are trying to type fast, they slam into the keys, and this definitely does better when you don't slam into them. Therefore, I completely hope that I'm actually able to have a good sound come out of this board. But it does require the more ooh. Make sure. All right. Not horrible. It's not horrible. Yeah, the sharp return I don't like as much. I think if the top housing was different, it would sound 10 times better. Just the top housing. The bottom housing is fine. Whatever that is. Okay. They're not even made out of the same plastic, which makes sense why they sound completely different. The sharp return's not great. I think if it had a rubber top, it would be fine versus before. Yeah, that's so much better. Okay. Now, here it comes. All the quotes. All right. Let's see. All right. Next test. So let's go through a quote here, as you can see. All right. Gonna go through quotes, and we'll see if we can get past 75 words per minute. And again, we are using the NK65 from Novel Keys with the glorious GPBT keycaps, and now the Cherry MX Browns in the board are lubed. So, already heard all of that earlier. The unlubed earlier. Now this is much better. It's gonna be much better. Let's go. Oh. Oh no. Okay. Let us unplug that. Let us remove that S key. That's not working currently. Looks like we might have bent it. Looks like not the case, but it's definitely not tactile at all. Might have put the switch the wrong position. Oh, it might be that the leaf is not connecting properly. Let's see if we can bend that leaf back, or calling it a lost cause. Bad quotes. Might just swap it with one of the other keycaps on, or the key switches that work, like the arrow keys, or the delete button. No, I don't think it's gonna work either. Nope. Nope. Oh, let's find out. Nope, it's not working. That's why all the S's are bad. Alright, let's just not do that. Let us remove page up and see if page up seems to be working. Shall put that over there. Connect that back in. Yeah, that works. We shall put that somewhere else, and we shall continue with the code. Okay, we W doesn't work either. Did I break a couple in? No, there's no way. Oh no, I effed up. Don't open your switches, guys. What is good? Yeah, that doesn't do that either. So these are 2, and page down, I guess. Oh my god. That's what I say when you rush things. There we go. Okay, there we go. Ever or ever will be is shapeless as a changing cloud. Alright, so 6 words per minute. It said repeat test. Let's repeat that test. Make sure it's fine. Okay. I realized the music is on, so let's go through this. Alright. So okay. No, that's horrible. All right, so we'll talk about the code anyways. But yeah, that doesn't feel as bad as I thought it would. I'm going to keep these switches away. I'm gonna go through VIA real quick and see with the keycap tester or switch tester. Make sure everything's fine. Looks like everything is fine, including escape. Oh, spacebar. Okay, and delete. Alright, so all of the other keys are working. So I only got 2 broken switches. That might have been broken before we did the tests. So that's fine. We didn't lose too much. But we'll leave that as is for now. We're gonna just cover that up. That way we're not glaring at them. Okay. Should be able to do a... Oh my god. We'll talk about the code in a bit. My bad, I removed it, so I can't really reread it. But something about the cause and reaction of stuff. But let's go. There we go. All right. So we can watch the replay there. And yeah, I was a little slow there on the uptake because I kept making a mistake. And yeah, I kept making a mistake in the middle there. Got a little fast, got into the groove. Raw speed maximum is 100 words per minute in a burst. But I ended up with 56 words per minute. All right, let's talk about the code quite a little bit. All right, want to know what kills more police than bullets and liquor? Boredom. They just can't handle that. You keep it boring, string. You keep it dead boring. Yes, boredom kills a lot of people. And when you are terribly, terribly bored, your mind wanders into places that you have no clue how you even got there. So yes, boredom kills a lot of people just because they do dumb things out of boredom. Really dumb things. Police, not necessarily, because they have a lot of other things to do, including paperwork, and it is boring. Horrible. All right, let's see if we can get that 75 words per minute. Let's keep going. Let's. She may be. Oh no. Woo. Oh, there we go. We got 82 words per minute in a quote. Let's go. Only did 2 mistakes, which is awesome, and a relatively high consistency. If we can keep that consistency high, we'll definitely get higher words per minute and make sure we don't drop too much in accuracy. All right, let's talk about the quote here. It's, of course, a love song. She. I don't know who actually sung this, but let's read it here. She may be the face I can't forget. The trace of pleasure or regret may be my treasure or the price I have to pay. She may be the song that summer sings, may be the chill the autumn brings, may be 100 different things within the measure of a day. Okay. Yeah, so this is very much a kind of relationship type quote that people try to go through, where you see someone and they seem like someone you want to be with and want to try to, make a mate or a partner of, but you know for a fact that there could be pleasure or regret. This could be the best thing ever or the worst thing ever in your life. Maybe my treasure or the price I have to pay. In other words, those stereotypical, oh, it is the best thing that ever happened to me. At the same time, I can't do anything because my wife says no. So yeah, it's one of those things. She may be the song the summer sings. Yeah, she may be warm. Maybe the chill the autumn brings. She might be cold towards you. Maybe 100 different things within the measure of a day. And yeah, part of it might actually even just be hormones, where it's just like, oh, she's fine, she's happy, she's all right, and then all of a sudden you drop an egg and she snaps at you, and it's one egg, it's okay, we'll buy more. And it's like, no, you shouldn't have dropped it in the first place. And you're like, oh, Jesus. And yeah, so just don't. As a male, no idea how any of this works. All right, now you go through the how that sounds. It actually sounds bad. I don't know what you guys think about it, but it doesn't sound that bad. I don't like the ticking that it comes back when it comes back up, but it doesn't sound as bad as it was when it was unlubed. All right, now let us go with time and see if we can just keep continuously typing if this changes anything. All right. Nope, did not go through. But yeah, I don't like the return sound. I like the bottom out sound. It sounds fine. But the return sounds not great. Yeah, you need a solid board for this to make sense. When it's not a solid board, it kind of doesn't feel quite right. Okay. One more typing test. Oh no, I made a mistake. The possible. Oh. Well, you guys got the sound. Yeah, I don't like the return sound. But in comparison, I guess we can compare with the silent keyboard that I have. Oh, there. grab the silent keyboard, put that on the side, and next test. And here's a silent keyboard in comparison. It's a little quiet, but it does have that sound, bottoming out. So this is a silent keyboard. There we go. So yeah, as you can hear, it is basically silent. There's almost nothing going on. That's if you slam into it. That is if you slam into it. All right, let's go with quote one last time. All right. Boom. Gamers. Gamers? Alright. That seems like a weird quote. Alright, so there before me was a woman who had finally, after all this time, made it to the start line at the absolute worst moment imaginable. It was truly a tragic sight of a truly hopeless girl who had just begun her first love when it was far too late. Honestly, it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're just trying to find a partner, this is fine. And a lot of this has to do with, finding a family and making a family. And I think I've watched this little short or TikTok recently of someone going, growing up, they believed that you had to have kids. You had to grow up, find a partner, have kids, and all that. And then when they got the partner, they ended up finding out that the partner also doesn't want to have kids. And they had this weird realization that, oh my God, we don't have to have kids. And they were quite happy about it. And they're going, yeah, yay, yeah. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, no, I agree honestly with that kind of sentiment. You don't have to be a certain age to find your first love, and even if you are, for example, a teenager, you can have your first love. You can feel the feelings that you are feeling, and you don't have to search for it. But it is just one of those things that if you find it, you find. If you don't, you don't, and that's pretty much it. And there's no real late or early for it. But if your goal is to at one point have children, then yeah, the earlier you can get through it, the better. Just meet with someone, go on dates, and try finding someone you can actually stand, I suppose, is basically what it is. But that's pretty much it. You go out there, find other people, and once you do, that's pretty much, you just try to stick to it. That's literally it. But anyways, later, about an hour later or two, should be doing some Apex, and then we'll be doing Mario Kart tomorrow. Same time, I think I do have it on the schedule. Apex is not on the schedule because, normally I would just do that on my own. But yeah, so we'll be going through Apex. We're going to be using that board there. I'm going to be fixing the Cherry MX Browns, the extra ones that are broken in a bit. But that's pretty much it. Anyways, make sure to follow, subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice one. Bye.